Well, I cannot tell you how delighted I am that this man is sitting next to me, ready to get on that particular pitch. Sam Cook, it's been a long time, or it seems to have been a long time, but I mean, there's a certain circle of life here, isn't it? Because the last game was against Kent too.
Yeah, no, it certainly feels like it's been a while. It's been very frustrating, being stuck on the sidelines, but yeah, a lot of hard work has gone into it off the field to try and get back out there. So yeah, can't wait to get out there and get going again.
I mean, you've had injuries before, we know. How do you cope with them? Do you cope with them better with the experience that you've had previously?
Potentially. I think I haven't, touch wood, had one like this for a while. So it's obviously tough, but it's part and parcel of the job, and you've got to obviously try and look forward rather than, you can't, obviously once you are injured you can't change it. You can only sort of work towards getting back out there. So I think I've tried to sort of always look forward, how we're going to get back on the park, and working hard with physios and S&C upstairs to do it. So yeah, I don't think it gets easier. I think it's more just the process of how you deal with it comes with age and understanding. There's no point sort of
you're getting on now,
moaning and whining about it.
Is the biggest battle mental or physical?
It's probably,
it depends on the injury.
It's probably the mental side of things. I think a lot of the time it's the not doing anything, rather than, I think I'm sort of character that always wants to be doing something to move on and get better with it. And in an injury point of view, you're trying to improve it, but an awful lot of the time it's about resting and recuperating. So that's probably the hardest bit from a mental point of view, rather than the physical stuff.
Well, let's hope you're going to get back into action this evening. You've been watching from the sidelines as the regular Essex Eagles set up in T20. We never seem to make it easy for ourselves. And now, after that loss in Cardiff, we know, we're really going to have to push for that finishing line to make sure we're in top 4 position. What have you made of the campaign that you've seen from the sides?
I think there's been an awful lot of positives. I think it is the nature of the game, like you say. I think it's not just us, it's every team. I think anyone can beat anyone in this competition particularly, and especially in the South Group. I think all the teams are extremely strong. I think you've seen throughout finals day and quarterfinals the last few years that the South Group is very strong. So like I said, anyone can beat anyone. But I think there's been a lot of positives. Obviously the injury's been frustrating, but it's meant that guys like Benny and Beardy have got some good exposure and good experience. I think they've done really well. I think obviously from a bowling point of view, it's I think the way the game's changed over the last few years, sort of the expectation of what's a good day has changed, and I think they've done a lot of things really well. From the planning point of view, the work we put in off the scenes with the analysts and with the coaches, and in terms of our plans, I think there's been an awful lot of positives. Like you say, obviously the results have been a little bit up and down, but it's the nature of T20 cricket. I think, like you see at the Euros, you don't necessarily want to peak too early.
Never be said. Leave it to the last minute. Why not?
So I think we've done that in previous years. I think it's about winning those key moments and winning those games where we've been under big pressure, which we've done well the last few years. So hopefully take some confidence from that, and big push in these last 4 games to get into the qualification places.
And as disappointing as it is to see Jordan not with us, with Dan Sams having to go home, new ingredients, yourself included, Ethan Bosch included, it can make for a different dynamic as you go into the final lap of this. 100%.
I think you see over the course, it's a long season throughout all formats, and we've got an extremely strong squad with depth, and that's why we've got the squad. We back every single member of our squad to come in and do a job. Obviously it's disappointing, Coxie and Samsey, two big players for us, but a bit like what I was saying earlier, you can't dwell on that. You've got to look forward. How are we going to win the games in front of us? And the guys coming in, it's a great opportunity for them, and take it with both hands. And I think sort of that competition is what's made us a strong team the last few years. Obviously, touch wood, until this year our injury records have been pretty good the last few years, but it's why we've got the squad that we have, and it's important that we use the depth, and it's good to get guys getting and playing, because when it comes to those crunch moments, it means that anyone can stand up and be that match winner.
Pleased to be joined by Tom Rogers from the Kent camp. Tom, thanks for your time. Great to see you in Kent colours. It hasn't been long though, has it? You were acclimatised all right?
Yeah, the boys have been very welcoming. We've got a great bunch of lads, and I think a bit of a blessing. You don't have to worry about getting too nervous with a couple of weeks preparation. You just get the phone call and into a game 24 hours later. So it's been whirlwind, but so happy to be here playing some cricket with them.
And here in Chelmsford, you're going to see a few familiar faces. from your Melbourne days. There's Matt Critchley. You must have played with him for the Renegades.
Yeah,
did you?
Played with him at the Renegades. Played a couple of franchises with Coxie as well.
Yeah.
Played a lot of cricket with and against Daniel Sams as well, and then on the coaching front, bit of a Renegades connection there as well. Big Mick. Already caught up with him earlier in the season when he came up and played against Durham. I'm up there playing some club cricket, so caught him as well.
And Mags as well, because Mags had some time with the Renegades, I think, didn't he? So,
that's right. Yeah.
So you'll be an inside informant for Kent tonight, because you know what their thinking is, right?
Well, I really like their thinking. They love to win, those blokes that I've come across. So I'm sure they're doing a great job at this club.
I mean, it's been a difficult season for Kent, having started so well. Started here in the T20 campaign with a big win, but it's been awkward. So the push now to go to the finishing line is critical if you're going to get one of those quarter-final spots.
Yeah, I think the equation's pretty simple. There's no second thought about it. We need to win. We need to win every game. We're coming off a couple of good performances, I think. Going down to a couple of small plays throughout the game against Surrey at the Oval the other night. Rain affected, and then a rain affected one against Gloucester as well. But it was good to get the win on that occasion. So. Oh, mate, we've got beautiful weather, beautiful day, beautiful location. No better time for a win, mate, unfortunately.
Costa del Essex. We never have rain down here unless Somerset and Gloucester are coming down. I mean, have you played here before? What do you make of the ground?
I haven't played here before, but I think there's from all the grounds that I've played at in England so far, there's a nice little unique charm about all of them. Having a look out of that wicket today, it looks an absolute belter. So I'm pretty keen to get out there. It looks as though the crowd, I really like that there's seats the whole way around the ground. There's no kind of quiet spot. I assume when you guys are humming, that crowd really gets on top and supports you guys.
They're very quiet and reserved. There will be the odd clap for the opposition, but I'm sure you won't notice anybody around. No, I mean, it is a cracking and a very individual ground. I mean, as you say, you've played in some big grounds and some different grounds. I think Chelmsford is its own flavour, as I'm sure the Kent boys will tell you. It's great to see you here. I hope you enjoy yourself in your first match here at the Cloud County Ground.
Thank you.
And, well, we'll see how the Battle of the Bridge goes for you. Thanks, mate. So if you're just joining us here at the Cloud County Ground, a very good evening to you. The sun's come back out, so all looks well set for a very interesting Battle of the Bridge this evening. Behind me, the two captains and the umpires, Neil Bainton and Chris Watts, the match referee, Alex Swan, just having their final chat. Right, coin toss. Harmy's got the tails is a call from Sam. Right, Mr. Billings, welcome back, Sam. Good to see you back here. Right, you've won the toss. What are you doing?
Yeah, we're going to have a bowl. Looks a really good pitch, as always here, but great great ground and quick scoring, so hopefully we can chase down whatever they set.
And you got good memories of starting your T20 campaign here, unusually from the Middlesex match.
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago. Yeah, it was unusual setting, but yeah, we put on a really good performance then, and hopefully we can do the same tonight.
And team news for the Spitfires tonight?
Yeah, one change obviously for Rose Cushy can't play for us tonight. So,
Shame.
Yeah, so Harry Finch comes in to replace him. That's the only change.
Right, good to see you back here. Go well. Si, right, thoughts? You're batting.
Yeah, we probably would have bowled first as well, but it is what it is. It's T20 cricket. You're not always going to do what you want to do, so we need to make sure that we make full use with the bat.
I mean, the Eagles have been in this sort of position more than once before about having to win as we head towards the finishing line. So momentum this evening is critical.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the nature of the South Group especially is that everybody beats everyone. So we need to be trying to win every game. You can't be looking over your shoulder and hoping for results to go your way.
Team news for the Eagles?
We've got 3 changes. Ben Allison, Aaron Beard and Luke Benkenstein miss out, and Shane Snater, Sam Cook and Ethan Bosch come in.
Exciting times. Go well. Thanks for your time, Si. Have a good evening. Right, so Kent Spitfires have won the toss. They are going to bowl. Now, it was less than 3 weeks ago, of course, before these two teams met at Canterbury. Here's some of the highlights of what went on back then.
Cutting is Drummond, and that is the first boundary. So decent over from Aaron Beard until the wide, and then the extra one got crashed through the offside for 4. So that is looking slightly healthier. I think he's been guilty of that in this campaign. This is over, short fine leg, just. And Drummond will get another boundary. He's gone up towards third man. He's struggling to see it. It's Pepper, and he's taken the catch. That is the end of Daniel Drummond. It came down towards us. And Michael Pepper looking straight into the sun, as were we. And he takes a fine catch. He's trying to clear up whether it is, in fact, Ben or bloody... excuse my French. Or Charlie. Or Charlie Ellison. New batsman Tawanda Mayeye up the order. He's chipped this beautifully over the offside. Timed it to perfection. What a lovely start that is by Tawanda Mayeye. Just for us. So Crawley swats that one into the leg side. That's what he can do to you. And that is Crawley's first boundary. This has gone high from Crawley, and handsome. He's got a long way up. And he's going to hit those practice wickets and run away. So that was the middle of the bat, but it went so high just for a moment. I thought, I hope that's not into the wind. It might just stall on the breeze. Crawley goes over the offside. That's another boundary to Zach Crawley, 2 in the over. Just some signs. He's controversial move to Essex, and this is slog swept. I don't think he's got all of it. This could be out. And oh, yeah, it's a brilliant bit of work on the fence. So Crawley goes.
Fantastic bit of work. Felt his momentum, taking him back down and over the boundary rope. Flicked it up as so common in professional cricket now. It's unbelievable thinking.
Down the wicket, Maye's gone up. I think this, has he got enough of it? Yes, he has. Didn't get anywhere near the pitch of the ball. Trusted his power and his timing. Plays that pull shot we mentioned earlier. He's maybe trying to repeat the dose, but has he got him? He's got him. Gone. That is the end of Mayeye. So 6 and out for Tawanda. I have to look at the replay to see what happened. I think he nicked it behind. Just trying to... Yeah, don't like that shot. He's so strong down the ground and through the... Well, that is out of here. Sam Billings not wasting any time, dancing down the wicket. Kent a little bit behind the 8 ball here. Billings recognising that. Gone again. This one he's hit straight, nailed, flat trajectory. 6 followed by 4. Billings into his work quickly. As he goes for the reverse sweep, hits it hard, and he's going to get a boundary. So Billings in great touch. Moves to 20 off 8. Striking Spitfire innings as Beard is into Billings, and he's turning this attractively into the leg side. And he's picked the gap, he's got another 4. It's just the clean striking if you pick a gap and you're hitting it as hard as he is. That is pulled by Billings out to deep mid-wicket, and once again he bisects the 2 fielders that are on that boundary, and he gets another boundary. Just checking, looks like they were together. Has been swatted and he's gone, so Everson is out. Billings has gone straight up here. This is a big moment in the game. It's taken. Finch here playing as a specialist batter at 7 as O'Riordan goes high and handsome. That's a really nice shot. Got all of that. That's bounced. Complete his set here. He's bowling at Marcus O'Riordan, and O'Riordan's going to tuck him around the corner for a boundary. So a little bit leg side and a bit full. That's unharmer-like. And O'Riordan capitalises. Slightly shorter boundary. O'Riordan has different ideas. He thumps this over Harmer's head. And James Treadwell signals 4. So, I think he's gone. He has gone. That is a horrible way to go. Just look at it. And he's gone. And again out the back of the hand. Drilled beautifully by Finch. And it's going to get 4. So that is just a classic cricket stroke from Harry Finch. Just starting to move through the gears. And Finch find a boundary. No is the answer. He might get a couple. Bartlett will come back for 2.
And we're just going to jump into those highlights because behind me we've got a presentation for the WeFinanceAnyCar.com June Player of the Month. The winner for June, with a vote from 45% of the voting contingent, is Paul Walter. So WeFinanceAnyCar.com Managing Director John Healy is presenting the June Player of the Month award to Paul Walter. So, to Paul, top of the log. You better go and get ready, mate. We've got another presentation now. This a very important presentation because our principal partners, Woodland Group, are supporting national children's charity, the Penathlon Challenge this season, with £1 donated for every T20 run that Essex score here at Chelmsford. And we're joined by the Woodland Group's Head of Fulfilment globally, Mr. Luke Fermor, who is now going to present a cheque for £1,400 to Penathlon Challenge's Managing Director, Ashley Eyston.
Playing innings as he swishes that one away. Again, it didn't look like he timed it perfectly. It's running up the hill. It's going to get there. So that is Essex's first boundary. Cleanly struck by Rossington. So O'Riordan. And that could be out. Yep, got to be gone. Yes, he has indeed. So the extra pace of Bartlett just hurrying Rossington. This is the man I want to see back, Michael Pepper. Wonderful campaign.
And he's absolutely met. Short and wide to start, and 6 over cover.
Elgar's hit this well, really nicely timed down the wicket. Just held the bat face open and then gets a boundary. This has gone straight up though. Gilchrist's going to get his revenge. He's already walking Elgar. He knew that was gone. O'Riordan with the simplest of catches. Now play against Somerset and that Billings 100. It does take special innings from a top of middle order player. This has gone up. It's gone up a long way. It's going to take some catching. It's gone all the way, I think. One-handed. And this time he nicks it for 4. Mikey Cohen calling for a slip. There is not one there. And it flies through where probably first slip would have been maybe 1.5. That is high class from Jordan Cox. He is such a talent. I've enjoyed him for the last few years, but he's nicked it for 4. That's about 3 that have flown through first slip. And to be fair to Mikey Cohen, he said on this pitch, that is smoked straight through mid-wicket. Chance?
No, I reckon it.
That's high class. It's Pepper to the 4 now. Just swivelling on that one. So this returning over from Bartlett, an expensive one. And he's just picked him up for 6. It's got an ominous feel to it, isn't it? Cox at the Spitfire ground. Short, and Cox has got again. He hasn't got all of this, but he's got enough of it downwind. So he started 6-6, and knowing Jordan Cox, if he gets one more away, he'll be start thinking about the full set. Started this over with a couple of sixes. This one's gone straight up, so Gilchrist could have his man. It's going to take some catching. Billings going back after it, swirling. Got him. Cox. Top edge. And it's gone fine and gone for 4, so Mikey Cohen read it right. Short, pulled. He'll get 4 for this, Walter. This didn't have the same venom as the earlier bouncer. Didn't get all of it. It trickles over the rope, so really expensive over. 20 from it. Strike at the moment. Loves that offside, doesn't he? Hammered through the offside. He's going to get 4. Almost blitzed it straight through the fielder. Swanepoel?
I think it's Swanepoel. Just a bit of a misfield there.
Short nicked. Not for the first time. We've seen about 4 flash through first slip. Line and length and flight. Gone high. This is very high. Could be out here. Under it. It's gone up. He's got all of it as well. I tell you what, Michael Pepper hits a good ball. It was kind of in the slot. What a shot that is. I tell you what, Michael Pepper is looking a high-class player. That is over mid-off. Just short. Lower ball and crashed over wide mid-off. And he's going to get 4. So it's a this one pulled. Fine. And 4 more. And that is 50 for Michael Pepper, yet another one in this competition. What a campaign he's having. 100 against Middlesex. Batted quite beautifully. Another boundary to Michael Pepper. 29 off 16. This has been hit just over, so Billings did bring the field up. It was a gamble. That is Miles. That has gone into the flats. Watch out. That has hit. Whoa. Certainly first floor, I think. Not too many of the locals out on their balcony. It's got a bit breezy. It's been pulled hard in the gap. It's going to be another boundary. And get all of this one, Michael Pepper will get 4. And he's gone. So there you go, a bit of a consolation wicket. Gilchrist just has this knack of picking up wickets.
Really kicked on, and I'm sure he'll have a fantastic kick on to the 100 too. Have a fantastic 100. Really.
Flicked. Going to take a lot of pad. It's going to run away for 4. And that is a rather underwhelming way to win a game of cricket, but Essex will not care.
once. All the games, they all start here with All Stars Cricket. Skills, friendships, smiles, dreams. It all happens here. Every session is all out action. All invited, even mums and dads. That, ball, catch, go. All stars and all stars.
So as we get set for the entrance of the teams, time to welcome our two favourite furry friends, Eddie and Ellie, the Eagles. Good evening, guys. Also a good chance to welcome our Guard of Honour. Waiting for Kent is the Hornchurch Cricket Club. Here in front of the pavilion, we've got the Harlow Street Project, the Harwich Street Project, and participants of the Super Ones Hub. And ringing the bell this evening, it's the CEO of Penathlon, Mr. Ashley Eyston. All yours, Ashley.
Warm here tonight.
Time to welcome back to the Cloud County Ground our flag bearers this evening. Evening, guys. Also a chance to welcome special guests of Bentley Cricket Club, Ross Marder's mum and dad. First time visitors apparently to the Cloud County Ground. Have a great evening, folks. So let's get things going as we welcome our umpires Neil Bainton and Chris Watts. And led by Captain Sam Billings, our visitors, Kent Spitfires.
They've got 2 games against Middlesex, and up to now Middlesex have been playing very poorly, and they'd be doing everybody else a favour if they could pull off a victory this evening. Not least their West Country rivals, who, in theory, the champions, very strong side, but they're right in a corner now after that defeat against Gloucestershire. So I do think this is an important game for us, because I think if they lose this game and don't have momentum going into the weekend, I think that it's going to be quite difficult to turn things around. To say if they can win. And then I think that they'll feel confident with one more win at the weekend. They're going to be, even a decent chance on 15 points. And you say it's so much is going to depend on whether there are any surprise results. But you would think with Glamorgan on 9 points, Hampshire 7, Kent 6. Kent definitely out of it. Hampshire need to win all their games to have any mathematical chance. Glamorgan, to be fair to them, have won my last couple. Still in with a chance, can still get to 17 points. So still one or two other sides potentially involved.
So a lot to be sorted out in these remaining 4 games. Say Middlesex, Kent probably out of it. Might have done for Hampshire last night as well. So it'll be interesting to see what their attitude is when they come up against Essex at the back end of next week for the final group game. But in the meantime, Essex have got to get the job done here tonight. The openers are out there, Adam Rossington and Dean Elgar. And we're all set to get underway. Live with us here on BBC Essex on digital radio via the BBC Sport website and the app. And you can ask your smart speaker to play Essex versus Kent. First ball of the evening then is into Rossington, and that's down the leg side, and it will be a wide to start off for Kent, who are opening up with Tom Rogers from the Graham Gooch end. And it might not be Rogers, it could be Grant Stewart actually. Just looking in the distance, just watching Stewart's movement. That is definitely him, just sweeping back the slightly longer hair that he has.
So Adam Rossington, who's had injury problems this year.
Stewart in and bowls to Rossington on the drive, and will pick up 4 runs off the first legal delivery of the evening. Just eases into that one and away to the extra cover boundary it goes, and Essex are 5 without loss.
But of course contributed well in that partnership with Paul Walter, who's just been named the Essex Player of the Month, I think. So I think probably rightly so. He's made a very good impression since his delayed entrance into the first team this year. Of course, he wasn't involved in the championship in the early rounds.
Stewart turns again, right arm over, one slip into Rossington, who drives down the ground this time and up to the long off fence for 4 runs. Minimum of effort, almost the maximum of outcome for Rossington. 9 without loss.
Yeah, 2 very comfortable looking strokes. Kent, of course, have had success on this ground already this season in the competition, playing Middlesex, and one very comfortable. I think it's going to be a bit tougher for them this evening, mind you.
Yeah, Middlesex playing here next week once again. They come up against Gloucestershire. So Stewart's been driven for consecutive boundaries by Rossington. His inner bowls, that's slightly pulling back his length there, but Rossington just drops it into the offside and scampers through and picks up a single, and the score moves to 10 without loss here on BBC Essex.
Yeah, very nice first over so far. Interesting, Essex going in with 2 spinners, so obviously they'll feel that seems the way to go, and very good to see Sam Cook in the team, and Ethan Bosch as well, getting an outing in the T20.
Yeah, 3 changes from the game. They lost last Sunday at Glamorgan. Stewart comes into Elgar, and Elgar drives away, but it's cut off by the man at square cover, and there'll be no run there. Yeah, disappointing defeat on the road down there in South Wales. What we'd seen, look, Glamorgan are a more than useful outfit on that dramatic evening here.
Yeah.
And when Essex squeaked home thanks to that handy last wicket stand between Snater and Benkenstein, and Glamorgan virtually had the game in their hand. Stewart in again and bowls to Elgar, and Elgar works that one up to mid-off and sets off, gets halfway down, and is sent back by Rossington, and there'll be no run there.
There were shades of the reverse fixture, weren't there, Glenn, about what happened on Sunday. We saw the class of Ingram and Cook, this time Labuschagne contributing with the bat as well. And then, as was with the game here, Essex looking comfortable before Crane and Labuschagne with the ball suddenly started to cause problems, and the only difference was there was no final flourish from Benkenstein and Snater.
Stewart is in, bowls to Elgar, and Elgar tickles up one down towards the long leg boundary, but Fielder I think may get round there and cut it off, and indeed he has, and he saved one run there with his diving effort under the lip of the Tom Pearce stand. Tawanda Mayeye came herring round from deep backward square and cuts the ball off down at long leg. He's helped out down there by Matt Parkinson as well. They pick up 3 runs, so it's a profitable first over for Essex. Lost the toss here, put in by Kent, and Essex at 13 without loss. 350s
for Dean Elgar. He's been very consistent, averaging 34.5, strike rate of 138, so that's pretty good. For someone who's not known as a T20 player, and I think it generally took Essex supporters by surprise when he was first choice in the T20. Of course, some injuries around, but he's more than justified that. And of course, I suppose the proof in the pudding, if you like, will be whether Essex can actually get out of the group. But I would say that they'll be pretty pleased with how that has worked out. Now, Tom Rogers, who is coming in, long approach, right arm, medium fast, bowls, and that's with an angle bat, played very nicely down for a single down to third man by Elgar to bring Rossington back on to strike. 14 for no wicket.
And of course, with Essex, if they can get through to the quarterfinals, they would have Jordan Cox back then as well. You know, with respect to those who are filling in, who have been included in the team this evening, you don't leave Jordan Cox out of your side, the form he's been in, so he'll have had time to recover from having his appendix removed, which happened dramatically on the first evening of that game at the Oval against Surrey in the Championship.
So here's Rogers again up to the wicket, bowls, and just play defensively up into the offside, and there is no run. So Rogers bowling from what we still sometimes call the river end, because it's better known as that. And of course we've now got the Sir Alistair Cook end, which is the new name, the Graham Gooch end, the Hayes Close end, and we sometimes like just to remind people which is which, because it just gives a bit of a visual image of the ground. It's pretty full. I'm just looking around. It's filled up in the last 15 minutes before the game started. It felt like it wasn't a Friday night, put it that way, about half an hour ago, but it's a bit fuller now, as this is played by Rossington. It's a good delivery and just played straight up to Joey Eberson at mid-wicket, and there is no run. So disappointment for Kent. They've had a rough old season. I suppose the one highlight was that staggering victory over Lancashire, which probably underlined what a poor start Lancashire made. Of course, they were very much not themselves when they played here in the Championship in April. You don't see a Lancashire side rolled over as easily as that. Bit of a false dawn though for Kent in the Championship, and they've not had the usual run that they seem to be able to put together in the T20 in this particular campaign. Got 5 saving one on the offside, and Rossington gets one on his pads, and he flicks it down towards fine leg and gets a single. And I wonder if that might have been heading down the leg side if he hadn't actually made any contact with it. He might have actually not got as much as he could have done from that ball, just a single down to fine leg. And it's 15 for no wicket, and it's a good over this from Tom Rogers.
Yeah, it's a good comeback, isn't it, after Stewart has been struck for a couple of boundaries and bowled wide as well in that first over. So Rogers just trying to rein things back in the power play. Don't forget, 6 overs in the power play. You can only have 2 fielders out.
30-year-old Australian up to the wicket, bowls, and there's a appeal for LBW here. Good shout as Elgar was playing across his pad, trying to work it away into the onside, but it has been a good over. And certainly it's just what Kent wanted after that fairly loose first over was sent down. He played at Cheltenham against Gloucestershire, and he played in the rain-affected game at the Oval against Surrey. Yet to take a wicket yet. That's rather surprising on the evidence of what we've seen in his first over, which has been pretty impressive.
Gloucestershire have lost a 3rd wicket as well, 52 for 3, chasing 182 to beat Middlesex.
Here is Rogers again, and on the brisk side of medium fast, and that's a pull without timing by Elgar for a single out towards mid-wicket, but whereas the first over belonged to Essex, I think, will say that one very much to Kent, because the scoring shots that there were have no great vigour about them. Essex, in the end, quite happy to see that over out. 16 for no wicket. Essex sent in 2 overs have been bowled, and yeah, there's a little bit of higher cloud around, but it's also some quite threatening cloud above the ground. But I think the forecast is okay, Glenn, at least for the time we're on the field this evening.
Nathan Gilchrist to replace Grant Stewart at the Graham Gooch end, formerly the Hayes Close end. Yeah, people still coming in and taking their seats here as well, Nick. Unlike last night down at Hove, Sussex against Hampshire, where for obvious reasons, with a certain European Championship semi-final on, the crowd was small down there last night. As here is Gilchrist in, pulled around the corner by Elgar, but the man on the edge of the circle, Parkinson, makes a diving stop, and there's no run there. And I was listening to it on my way home last night, listening to the commentary between 7 and 7:45 when I got home, and felt a little bit guilty turning our BBC cricket commentary colleagues Kevin James and Adrian Harms off and going indoors to watch the football. Here is Gilchrist once again. Right arm over into Elgar, comes down the wicket, does Elgar, drives up to mid-off, sets off with a single where a direct hit would have had him run out, but it's well wide and they come through for the run, and the score moves up to 17 without loss. But there were a few people messaging in saying, no, I'll be sticking with the cricket this evening, football's not my game. We had the game against Slovakia, the last 16 game with England. I was doing the opening day at the Oval of the Championship game. 8,000 people in that day, because it was a special celebration of community and county cricket that day. And then people quickly went off to watch on the big screens around the ground and then came back. As here is Gilchrist into Rossington. Just pushes that one back to the bowler and his follow through.
I mean, disappointing for Sussex, because okay, if you look at team of the season in terms of performance, Surrey, as you might expect, top of the T20 group, top of the Championship. Team of the season, expectation versus performance, without a shadow of a doubt, Sussex.
Yeah, looked a really good side here.
Yeah, and what a season they've had in Division 2, what a season they're having in this competition.
Yeah, it looks a really, really good side here. Gilchrist bowls, Rossington comes down the wicket and pulls that one up to mid-on, and again sets off with a single. He's well out of his ground if there's a direct hit. There are heads in hands, as though the throw was close, but it's wide of the stumps, and the score goes to 18 without loss.
If Essex don't qualify, I guess that's a game that many will look back on. Possibly the very first game against Gloucestershire, which Gloucestershire gets through at Essex's expense, but I think that was a bit of a shock for everyone. You won't see an Essex attack dismantled like that on this ground very often. It was a tremendous performance, and they backed it up with others.
Gilchrist in to the left-handed Elgar, comes down the wicket, Elgar, and doesn't quite time all of that, and there's a sprawling diving stop at mid-off on the edge of the circle, and they come through for a single once again, and it is 19 without loss here on BBC Essex in the third over of the evening. Yeah, it was Harrison Ward and Daniel Hughes up top who did the damage, and then James Coles came in and put bat to ball handily as well, and Coles has proven himself a really good operator in this format, and as you say, yeah, they've certainly been the surprise package, Sussex, so far. As Gilchrist comes into Rossington, who just drops his hands on that one and sets off with a single. Just as a little glance up there, Rossington, to check that Elgar was coming through, and he was, and that's the end of the over. Relatively quiet one, 19 without loss is the score, as the skies do just darken a little bit more.
Yeah, just sort of keeping an eye up. Certainly the forecast I saw looked reasonably set fair, but it's a bit of humidity around, isn't there? And you just wouldn't be surprised if there's a shower. There is rain forecast overnight, and the forecast for Sunday's game here looks okay. So good, I think, good thing all round. That's starting at 2:30 and not too much later than that. But Surrey coming, and that will be a big occasion. So Essex, yeah, it's very much on a knife edge. I think many were confident of Essex qualifying until obviously just 1 point from the last 2 games. Here's Rogers again, bowls to Rossington, and gets hold of that and pulls it away to the square leg boundary for 4. Just straight in their direction a little bit, and Rossington seized on it and dispatched it, and that's a good blow for Essex, because they've been 2 pretty good overs back to back there by Kent, and it's gone to 24 for no wicket, and we're just into the 4th.
Yeah, we were chatting last night, weren't we, on BBC Essex, and I did say to you, I actually don't think a rain-off against Somerset was all that bad, given how strong Somerset are, but you said, yeah, that was fine, but then they backed it up, unfortunately, with a defeat by Glamorgan.
Rogers up to the wicket bowls, and that's an attempted scoop shot, and it probably gone over the top of leg stump. Rossington did back away outside his off stump, so he's not going to get wide there, but goes to prod the pitch. Yes, our esteemed colleague Anthony Gibson thought he didn't quite go with my view last Friday because he thought that he fancied Somerset to win the game, but of course he got a bit of a shock with what happened against Gloucestershire a couple of days later, and it just shows how one of the less fancied teams can put a run together, and it also shows, I think, the strength in depth in the South Group. Here's Rogers again, 5 saving 1 on the off side, and sun is shining, and that's a bit of lift there, and played with an angled bat by Rossington down to short third man for a single. Nice delivery. Would have been a useful one that in first class match, and in the end he played that pretty well. Rossington, no slips to worry about on this occasion, but down to short third man. But that would have been awkward to do it with a ring of slips and a gully perhaps in a championship game. Looks quite a handful, Rogers.
He's swift, isn't he, Tom Rogers? He's certainly working up a little bit of pace here, and he just surprised Rossington with that one that he managed to get to lift. Yeah, but just back to Gloucestershire, I mean, a lot of it is down to David Payne and the way he's bowled. Yes,
and here's Rogers again. That's driven and slammed away between cover and mid off for 4. Good shot. Got a lot of bat on that, did Dean Elgar. And say he's done a pretty good job as a sort of surprise in the blast side, but he's put the bad balls away, and that one just a bit over pitch, and he's dispatched it, and it's 29 for no wicket in the 4th. Of course, the game they didn't win, Gloucestershire, they tied against Surrey in a game that Surrey really should have won. So again, that just underlines how well they've done. But yes, a lot of quality. I think it was an all-South finals day last year, wasn't it? I wouldn't be surprised if at least 3 come from the South Group this time, as that's a good delivery. It's up in the block hole, attempted Yorker and dug out by Elgar, and back on the bounce to Rogers. 29 for no wicket in the 4th over. West Indies 79 for 6, 171 behind at stumps on day 2 of the Test match at Lord's, and I was thinking that's another Saturday of a Lord's Test to be lost, and at one stage I was thinking it's another Friday of a Lord's Test. Wow. Which would have been quite something when Test matches usually start on a Thursday. But Rogers up to the wicket again, and this is attempted drive. Good delivery actually, because Elgar was coming down the pitch for it. He wasn't quite there for the shot, and in the end could only just sort of push it back without too much pace back to the bowler, who bowled a couple of less effective deliveries, but put in some good ones as well there. 29 for no wicket, 4 overs gone, 17 to Rossington, and 11 on the board to Elgar. Yes, you feel when you're in a minority, you prefer Penny Lane to Strawberry Fields forever, whatever minority you want to be in. I've been sceptical about the future of 5-day tests for a while. When you look at the stats of a number of games are settled within 4 days, better drainage, you know, lots and lots of factors which I think people are going to have to think long and hard about it.
Stewart is back on from the Graham Gooch end, and is immediately whisked away to deep mid-wicket, but there'll only be a single there for Rossington. 30 without loss is the score. Yeah, Brian Jeeves, one of the Essex newspaper reporters, is in the box with us this evening, and he's got tickets for tomorrow. And I said to him, he said, really, day 3 of a test, England against Wales, was that optimistic? And he'll at least get to see James Anderson leave the cricket field for the final.
Which will be, if it is the last day tomorrow, that will be poignant. England will be hoping he doesn't have to bat again in the game. That would be a bit of a turnaround if he does.
Here is Stewart in bowls to Elgar. Elgar shuffles down and slices that one away behind square on the offside. He was looking a lot straighter than that, and it skews away off the face of the bat. Gets the single, 31 without loss.
Looking like a sort of 180 pitch at the moment. It doesn't look entirely straightforward if the bowlers put it in the right place.
No, just had that greenish
early stages, early stages, but it looks like the bowlers, there's something in it for them. And indeed, Essex have gone, with more of the extra seamer. And of course, Sam Cook coming back is very, very good news indeed.
Stewart again in. Oh, and Rossington's got all of that and then some. That has disappeared over the fence at the Graham Gooch end and gone for the first maximum of the evening. That's 6 straight out of the screws of Adam Rossington's bat, and Essex rocket up to 37 without loss. And here comes the bag of balls for the first time this evening. We need a replacement.
Yes, it's an ongoing debate about Test matches, but certainly in England with the Duke's ball, my thinking is 2 hour 10-minute sessions plus 30 minutes. That should be enough time to bowl the overs. And if you look at Bazball in particular, where obviously the game progresses a bit quicker, not many games have gone beyond the, if you like, the sort of more than about 350 overs, if you like. So it might be that the marquee series against India and Australia could stay the same, but we've already had 4-day tests against Ireland. It might not be too long in the future when we have them against the more middle ranking sides as well.
Kent just struggling to keep Essex at bay here in the power play. 37 without loss. We're in the 5th over as Stewart comes in, and Rossington goes aerial once again. It's gone a long way up in the air, but it's got the distance as well. It goes into the back row of the Tiptree Jam stand at the Graham Gooch end, and it's successive maximums for Rossington, and Essex go to 43 without loss, and he moves up to 30.
Yeah, he's a fine striker, is Adam Rossington. We've not yet to see the real standout innings from him that he's capable of in the competition this year. I wonder if this might be the day.
That one's not gone out of the ground, so it did just hit the back row of that stand of green seats. So Stewart can have the same ball back in his hands, but he's gone for successive 6s here. And Adam Rossington's taken a liking to him. He struck him for back-to-back 4s in the opening over of this match. What is Stewart's response now? He's in, and he bowls to Rossington. That's a good Yorker length delivery. Rossington just jabs the bat down on it and scampers off for the single. He needs to get those legs moving, he needs to get motoring, and he gets through. 44 without loss in the 5th over here on BBC Essex.
Yeah, so he's a really fine striker, and if he was to bat through a lot of the 20 overs, which he you feel he's capable of doing that, it would sort of guarantee Essex a very good total, particularly in the absence of someone like Jordan Cox as well.
Elgar just scans around to see where he might pick runs up. Final over, final ball of this over, 15 from it so far. Elgar comes down and it's bowled wide, but the umpire decides that Elgar had stepped outside leg stump and therefore had created the width himself. So it's a dot ball, and Gilchrist escapes with no more than 15 off that over. Essex are 44 without loss with one more of the power play to go.
Yeah, that's certainly a good over for Essex. They'll be pretty pleased with this start. 44 from 5, and say could be that 180, 185 is a pretty useful score on this. We'll get a bit more evidence of how the pitch is playing, particularly when we see spin introduced. But Rossington in particular going along very well as Gilchrist comes in from the Alistair Cook end, bowls, and it's hit over the head of mid-off for 4. Just about got enough bat on that. It was a sort of flat batted shot which just about cleared the man at mid-off. Not a lot in it, but he's chancing his arm, of course, as you have to do in this competition, and at the moment he's getting away with it quite splendidly. Rossington 35 from 17, it's 48 for no wicket.
Yeah, you almost get the feeling that the field was almost beaten for pace there, because it was hit so flat, wasn't it?
Gilchrist again, up to the wicket, bowls, and just a nice little deft shot from Rossington, which gets him a single, just on the move really, just with an angle bat, pushed it square into the offside, and nothing that could be done by Harry Finch running in to prevent the single. So 49 for no wicket. And so an important game this for Essex with this double header coming up at the weekend that looks very difficult on paper. But go into that with a win, and momentum is back with them. Here's Gilchrist bowls, and that's hit down the ground and will just be stopped at mid-off. That's a good stop in the end because it was travelling at some pace, but Bell Drummond got across and made sure it didn't get past him. They get through for a single there for Elgar. That's the 50 up inside 5.5 overs. Pretty good rate of progress. And Elgar there on 12. But it's Rossington who's taking centre stage at the moment. 13 to Elgar now, 36 to Rossington. And coming towards the end of the power play as Gilchrist bowls, and Rossington, again, he just about survives a big hit attempt. And that one got very little bat on it, if anything. I think it might have hit the boot in the end, but it didn't really go anywhere. He was looking to crack that one down the ground, and didn't get as close to it as he has done on previous occasions. But his intent is not in doubt here.
He's had starts in every T20 innings this season, Rossington, apart from one against Kent down at Canterbury. We got 4.
Here he is with a nice drive, played actually with great fluency and timing, but straight to the extra cover fielder. Quite annoyed actually, because he really struck that very nicely with minimal power, all timing, but straight to the one saver. 1 of 5 saving the single on the offside. We've got a mid-on and a short fine leg. Likewise on the leg side with a deep square leg back on the boundary and a deep mid-wicket as well, the 2 permitted boundary fielders. Here comes Gilchrist again, bowls a full toss and it's hit in the air and it is taken by Drummond at mid-on. Quite low down in the end, miscue from Rossington. It's funny how the full toss is often the dangerous delivery. Didn't get it really, Rossington. Drummond has had to move just a few yards forward and just had to judge it, so he took it close to the ground, but it was a clean catch. And another cameo from Rossington comes to an end, and a very impressive one. 36 from 21 balls, 2 6s from 4 4s, but yet again threatening more than he might have been able to deliver the way he was going.
It's a surprise delivery almost, isn't it, as well? He did just double take just to check that the full toss wasn't above waist height, but the ball was dipping on him, and Drummond in the end has to dive forward because it was dying on him somewhat, which just proved that Rossington got it off the toe end of the bat. But scores in the T20 this season: 32, 10, 48, 20, 16, 18, that 4 against Kent, 41 against Glamorgan last Sunday, and now 36 this evening. Just prove you how handy Rossington is at the top of this Essex T20 batting order. But as you say, Nick, he hasn't got the big score that he will have been expecting himself, but always gets Essex pretty much on every occasion off to a really, really good start. And here, coming in now for Essex, is the man who really has lit it up for this county in this competition this season, and that is Michael Pepper.
Yes, Michael Pepper, who has been excellent and is a leading run scorer. Just questioning whether he can provide a strong finish to the campaign, and with the likes of Jordan Cox being absent, very important that he does.
End of the power play. Joey Everson's on to bowl now, and he's driven away by Elgar. Nice good cricket shot, that one, to the extra cover boundary where it's reeled in at the expense of a couple of runs. They go to 52 for 1, so you can have more fielders out on the fence. Now we're outside the power play, so Kent have sent back a deep backward square, a deep mid wicket, a long on, a long off, and a boundary rider out on the square cover as well.
Gloucestershire have got a partnership at Cheltenham, 105 for 3, needing 77 from 7 overs to beat Middlesex. That'll be close.
Everson round the wicket into the left-handed Elgar. Elgar opens the face of that one, tickles it behind square on the offside, calls Pepper through. He's a bit slow in setting off there, Michael Pepper, and he apologises to his batting partner. He probably wasn't as alert as maybe he should have been. No damage done though. 53 for 1 in the 7th over on BBC Essex. And that brings Pepper down onto strike for the first time this evening, and he really has taken the headlines. That bruising century he got here on a Sunday afternoon against Middlesex, the highlight so far. And there was a 76 down at Kent as well, 44 against Hampshire, and he's going to be facing Everson. So a change in the field, a ring of fielders on the offside for Pepper as Everson comes in and bowls to him, turns that one off the thigh pad onto the leg side. There'll be a leg by. 54 for 1 is the score. He got a first baller on the first night of the T20 blast, Michael Pepper, down at Bristol against Gloucestershire, but 101 against Middlesex, 31 against Glamorgan here, 23 against Middlesex at Lords, 51 here against Sussex in a losing effort, 44 against Hampshire, 76 against Kent. Tells you the tale of the tape, how well he's gone this season. Elgar back on strike. Everson's round the wicket to the South African, and Elgar just batters it down to long off for another single. 55 for 1 is the score.
Bit of a miscue that, but rotates the strike. Yes, certainly in the absence of Cox, you feel that Pepper there in the middle order, and the fact that Critchley's not got past 16 in this campaign, it might be his day today, of course, but he's very much obviously still been to the fore with his wickets, but he's had an uncharacteristically lean campaign with the bat, as Matt Critchley.
Everson running towards us from the Graham Gooch end. Ian and bowls to Pepper. Didn't seem to know where that had gone, and Elgar calls him through for a single. Pepper was busy looking around to see where the ball had gone. It had dropped out to the leg side, and he comes through for the single. Good calling by Dean Elgar, and Pepper answered the call. 56 for 1.
We've seen some belligerent shots, and we've also seen one or two periods of the game where it's been difficult for the batters to get the ball away. So early indications of this pitch. Not an absolute shirt front by any stretch of the imagination.
Everson round the wicket into Elgar. Oh, and that struck Elgar on the front foot. There's a shout for LBW, mainly from Everson, and then Billings behind the stumps joins in. It's met with a firm shake of the head. They come through for a leg by. 7 overs gone now here in a almost capacity county ground in the city centre of Chelmsford, and Essex have moved on to 57 for 1.
Yes, we saw certainly in that Middlesex game where he got the 100, Michael Pepper. That was an example of a really top-class T20 wicket, which was very, very batter-friendly. And Middlesex got over 200 and they're about 15 runs light. So Pepper put paid to their prospects in tremendous style. Matt Parkinson, slightly one of the forgotten figures of the county game, but here he is, coming in to bowl from the Alistair Cook end. Bowls to Elgar. He comes down the pitch and drives along the ground to long on and collects what will be a second run eventually after a bit of hesitation, and in the end a good throw, which had it been a direct hit certainly would have been hurrying Pepper up. And it's fair to say Pepper at the moment is sort of giving the impression of someone whose mind has been elsewhere in the first few minutes of his innings, but he'll settle down no doubt if he can stay at the crease for a couple of overs.
Well, he called the second run and then didn't really put the afterburners on.
So it's 59 for 1 now, and this is a pick-up shot and pretty well executed, but just going to be the one run. The field out now, one run out towards deep backward square leg. Quite a lot of effort for not so much reward there for Elgar, but it goes to 60 for 1. Elgar a runner ball 21. Pepper has just faced 2 deliveries for his single.
109 for 4 now, Gloucestershire. Big wickets just gone down there. It's Jack Taylor, the captain, who's been dismissed for 45. They're chasing 182 to beat Middlesex. We've got eyes on that because Gloucestershire, one of the sides challenging Essex for a top 4 position. Change of gloves for Michael Pepper. Just signalled after he'd slid in for that second run that maybe he'd got some dust and some soil on them, which is going to affect the grip on the bat handle. But if Middlesex can pull off a victory there against Gloucestershire, it would be a huge boon to Essex if they can get the job done here tonight as well.
Yes, Parkinson comes in to bowl. His leg spin driven away along the ground through the mid-off gap up to long off, and there is Tom Rogers, who bowled impressively at the start of the match, and one more run goes for total 61 for 1 in the 8th over. So Sussex at home and then Surrey here at the weekend. 2 afternoon games, and this is floated up by Parkinson and driven firmly through the mid-off gap by the left-handed Dean Elgar, and there's a single. That's 62 for 1.
Yeah, it's a big double-header for Essex this weekend, and the toughest double-header they could have got in this group as well.
And here's Parkinson again, just dropping that one slightly short, and Pepper goes onto the back foot. Again, a bit of uncertainty in the running, but there is a reasonably straightforward single there. And, but it's a pretty good over this from Parkinson, and Kent actually keeping a reasonable lid on things. We're 1 ball short of the end of the 8th over. This over has just gone for 6 so far. 63 for 1 as Elgar comes down the pitch and drives for what will be another single. They'll think of a second, but it's not going to be there. The throw is actually a loose one, and there would have been a second had they gone for it, but probably wise not to. But not a bad over that from Parkinson. 2 in a succession of singles. Pepper 3, Elgar a runner ball 23. Essex are 64 for 1, and very much a question of just trying to get the momentum back after the dismissal of Adam Rossington, which has just set Essex back a little bit, Glenn, here.
Yeah, and that penultimate ball of that over as well, they cut it away for a single, and Elgar and Pepper were both looking at the ball and both stopped almost next to each other mid-wicket before completing the single. The communication and the running has not been perfect so far between this pair, and that just seemed to be maybe the nature of the chat mid-wicket in the break-in overs there. It is Everson to continue from the Graham Gooch end, and that is driven up to long off by Elgar. Comes through for comfortable single, 65 for 1. We're in the 9th over now.
Yeah, so pretty evenly poised at the moment. Essex threatening to get away from their opponents, but Kent have done pretty well in the last few overs here.
Gloucestershire have lost Bo Webster now as well. That might be it for them. They need 70 from 5 overs with 5 wickets remaining there at Cheltenham. There's Everson in the distance. Turns and comes in and bowls to Pepper, and Pepper just turns that into the onside, but there's a single there, certainly. Slightly too much on it though to turn for the second. Played with softer hands, there would have been a second there because Kent had got mid-wicket and long on, both stationed out on the boundary, but they take the single and it moves to 66 for 1. Lights just beginning to take over here, darkening skies, but I think we'll be okay. Well, that breeze has dropped now though, so the cloud might be with us for the rest of the evening. As Everson round the wicket to the left-handed Elgar comes in, and Elgar trying to whip that one away on the onside, and they set off with a single. Pepper comes through. Everson trying to slot it, a bit like Ollie Watkins last night, but this time, unlike Watkins, he's wide of the target, is Everson, with his left foot this time, and Pepper comes through for the single, 67 for 1.
Yes, that Gloucestershire game is so important because Somerset, although they're not exactly making easy work of getting out of the South Group this year, they are a very good side, and you just feel that they're capable of putting together the run that they need, even with a fairly tough run in on paper. That they should still be able to get the points they need. So if Gloucestershire lose, that would be very good news for Essex, particularly if they win.
Everson into Pepper. Pepper drives and drives wide of the man at extra cover and will pick up 4 runs, 71 for 1. Just took a little step away there, Pepper, and Bell Drummond, who took the catch earlier on to dismiss Rossington, couldn't stop it with a dive to his left-hand side. 71 for 1 goes the score.
Yeah, nice stroke by Pepper, leading the run-scoring tables. Of course, getting that 100, the memorable innings of the campaign so far.
Everson very quickly back into his stride, into Pepper, who cuts away over the top of Gully, and down it goes to deep third, and they'll pick up 4 more there. And successive boundaries for Michael Pepper puts him up to 12, and the score to 75 for 1, and we're just coming towards the end of the 9th over. In fact, 1 more ball to go.
The great disappointment with Pepper remains that he's not been able to convert his T20 form into the longer form of the game. Had quite a few opportunities this year, of course.
Everson, Pepper steps away, cuts that one away again, and we'll pick up 4 more. A lot squarer this time, but behind square, so out up to the deep backward point boundary. 3 fours in a row for Michael Pepper and for Essex, and at the end of the 9th over, they have moved up to 79 for 1.
Yeah, so 342 runs at the moment in the competition. So. That's pretty good, and he's comfortably the Essex leading run scorer from Dean Elgar, and then Rossington and Cox. Walter sort of coming up on the rails. He's been, of course, did well on Sunday, and has been doing very well with the ball. Paul Walter, he's leading wicket taker, which I think would have been taken by people by surprise a bit, given the fact that he's often sort of not bowled a lot of overs, but here is a big hit away up towards long off, not timed, and leading will prevent the second run. It was a curious shot that from Elgar, because the long off was back. He could easily have holed out. He didn't quite time it. Might have been a good thing that he didn't actually. In the end, it fell short of leading, and there's just a single. So Parkinson continuing, and it's 80 for 1. We're in the 10th over, and. Just an indication, just a little bit difficult to time it on occasions. That delivery is just played by Pepper off the back foot, and it goes along the ground with no power to leaning at long on. So 81 for 1. Pepper 17 from 9, Elgar 25 from 26, and sprightly cameo from Adam Rossington, which threatened quite a lot more. He was playing so well. It's Parkinson again, flatter one, and played along the ground to a gap at mid-wicket, out to the boundary rider, and there is Harry Finch, and in front of the public seats, which are about 95% full, I would have said, and 1 or 2 people looking out from the apartments as ever. On a T20 night in particular, just beyond them. That's a bit of turn there from Parkinson. That's interesting, because Essex have gone in with one less spinner this evening, and that one genuinely turned and beat Pepper outside the off stump.
Yeah, he just floated it a bit more and just held it back. Just a slightly slower delivery that from Parkinson, and just left Pepper in 2 minds as to what to do. He just hung the bat at it in the end.
Here's Parkinson again, and this one is played pretty well by Pepper. He's got onto the back foot and he's beaten the despairing dive, I think, of Bell Drummond out there at deep backward square leg. It was hit very powerfully. The delivery just dropped slightly short, and he spotted it, went onto the back foot, and with a swivel pull, beat the man on the boundary there at deep backward square, and gets a very useful boundary.
Yeah, it is Bell Drummond out there. Good pick out, Nick, as he scuttled away to the right, got the dive in, but it beat him, and he's a very, very good fielder, Daniel Bell Drummond.
There's Parkinson bowls, and that's pulled away for 6. Had to reach for it, Pepper, but got plenty of bat on it, and enough to send the ball between the 2 boundary fielders on the onside. Just about square, just out towards the pavilion for 6, and what had been a good over for Parkinson went wrong at the end with the 4 and the 6, and he's bowled 2 overs for 20, and Pepper suddenly 27 from 12, looking dangerous, strike rate of 225, and Elgar happy to play second fiddle at the moment, the way Pepper is going. 92 for 1, good over that for Essex, and they're probably just back in the ascendancy now, halfway through.
Yeah, and then Essex will have all eyes on what goes on tomorrow night if they can get the job done this evening. Somerset, Surrey tomorrow, Kent against Sussex, Hampshire up against Gloucestershire, Glamorgan against Middlesex before Essex face Sussex, as Nick mentioned, on Saturday, and then Surrey here on Sunday. Commentary of both of those with us here on BBC Essex.
I think realistically the best Essex can do is an away tie, Glenn, particularly after that Sussex win yesterday evening.
Gilchrist is on now from the Graham Gooch end, and Elgar comes shimmying down the wicket and hits nothing other than fresh air, and through it goes to Billings, no run, 92 for 1.
Sussex 3 points clear of Essex, Surrey 5 points clear. Of course, Essex still have to play both, and if they were to win both games at the weekend, having won this evening, it might look a little bit different. But of course, Essex have sort of specialised in the away quarter-final ties, haven't they, in recent years?
This next one from Gilchrist is well wide of off stump, but again Elgar stepping outside leg and gets nothing on it. So good bowling that from Gilchrist, just pushing it wider, seeing Elgar step away. 92 for 1.
Remember the strange quarter-final played at Durham against Lancashire, when Lancashire couldn't use their own ground, and then of course last year that impressive victory, which actually should have been easier than it was in the end at Edgbaston.
Gilchrist in again. Elgar stands his ground this time and heaves it away to the wide long on boundary, and a couple of bounces, picks up 4 runs, 96 for 1, and he goes into the 30s.
So an away tie, if it is to be for Essex, won't faze them. As I say, mentioned on the programme last night, the Birmingham Bears, who I think lost their first 2 games and have won every game since, have a shocking record in knockout matches on their own ground.
Gilchrist in and bowls to Elgar, just held back slightly by Gilchrist there, and Elgar just adjusts the shot. To the onside it goes. Miyeye picks up at the expense of a single. 97 for 1 the score.
The Bears 3 points clear at the top with 8 straight wins, 16 from Lancashire's 13, Northants 12, Durham 11, and Derbyshire and Leicestershire just behind in the Northern group. But just still get the feeling the Southern group's strength in depth is still so much more evident. But maybe the North will strike back in the quarter-finals this year, remains to be seen.
Well, the powerhouses in years gone by of Lancashire and Nottinghamshire,
yes,
their power just seems to be dimmed recently. Gilchrist into the right-handed Pepper. That one up to mid-on the edge of the circle, comes through for a single. 98 for 1. Nottinghamshire at one point quite a dominant force in T20 cricket, always the favourites to get there to finals day, but
yes, unfortunately their last game looked like one of those T20 World Cup matches where poor old Uganda were on the receiving end. They made 57 and the Birmingham Bears got them in about 5 overs, I think.
Good over this from Gilchrist so far. He's in and bowls. Elgar comes down the wicket, gets big on him, and it goes up to mid-on, who promptly takes his eyes off it. Tom Rogers up there takes his eyes off it, and they can come through for 2 rather than the regulation single that it should have been, and that brings up the Essex 100 for 1 after exactly 11 overs.
Yes, and Essex pretty pleased with that. They've only got a launch pad the last 9 overs to get this score up beyond 180. I think 200 will be pretty useful on this pitch, particularly with Sam Cook. You've always got to factor in the difference, how many runs difference that might make. Obviously Sam Cook being in the side, Ethan Bosch also playing this evening, and as is Shane Snater, so it's a very different balance to the Essex side, very much with seam attack to the fore and just the 2 spinners. It'll be interesting to see how they go later on, but obviously the more they can get, then the more easy it will be for them. Parkinson is about to start his run up and then just pulls out of it, and he'll begin again, and he'll bowl to Pepper on 28 at 100 for 1. He comes in to bowl. That one's a bit wide outside the off stump and cut away off the back foot for a single out towards deep backward point. And we did say that if Pepper stayed out there for a couple of overs, he'd be fully awake, and he's looked pretty good actually in the last few overs. And it was a slightly odd start from him, but you can't disagree with 29 from 14 balls and a strike rate over 200. 101 for 1, and we're 1 ball into the 12th over.
Gloucestershire are going to lose. They're 127 for 8 in the 18th over.
Well, you could always rely on Middlesex. Had every confidence. It's Parkinson. Bowls, and that's hit away in the air up towards Leaning, who catches it at long off. In the end, a relatively comfortable catch that for Jack Leaning. There was an instance a couple of overs ago actually where Elgar miscued a similar stroke and it just fell short, and we were actually thinking it was a good job he didn't time it a bit better. Arguably he did hit that one slightly better and it went straight to Leaning, but that was always a potential way that he was going to get out. Elgar goes for an anchor 33 if you like, 101 for 2 in the 12th over. And obviously, you know, he's made a very good contribution this year as Dean Elgar. It's one of those situations that Essex could prosper with perhaps freer scoring middle order batsmen, with Paul Walter, who's been in great form, coming out to join Pepper right now.
33 from 33, Dean Elgar, so striking at exactly 100's done the job there, but as you quite rightly pointed out, Nick, a couple of overs ago he didn't quite get all of it, and it bounced in front of Leaning on that occasion. That time it had the carry to get to the fielder, and actually quite a way inside the boundary as well, so just didn't quite get all of that, Dean Elgar. But yet again in T20 Blast cricket he's done the job for his side, and here comes the player of the month for June for Essex, and that is Paul Walter, who's really come to the fore in all formats of the game, and he needs to play a good hand here as well.
Yes, leading wicket taker in the competition for Essex, and here he a bit fortunate for his first delivery. It flies away off the outside edge for 2 at least, down towards third man. It will only be 2, but he wasn't too close to the middle of the bat with that one, and there's a hint of a little bit of turn here for Parkinson. It's just interesting that Essex going in without Benkenstein this evening. Obviously they've got to make a decision on who to leave out, and it remains to be seen whether Benkenstein was the right one to leave out, as this is driven away nicely past mid-wicket. Again, a possible 2, but they're going to just jog through for the 1, because long on, that's Taylor will move across and complete the work. And Walter will go to 3, the 2 and a 1, and Pepper on 29 from 14 balls at 104 for 2. If Pepper can stay here through most of the second half of the innings, Essex certainly will be close to 200. There's a 2 short third men, or a short third man in the backward point, and an extra cover, saving one on the offside. This is hit into the onside with no pace. So little pace, there's always a possibility of a second run there. That was very well done by Pepper, because just saw with everybody back on the leg side, if he could hit it in a particular spot with no power, there might be a second run. In the end, as the fielders converged very quickly, they decided against it, but he gets single, and it's 105 for 2.
Yeah, one of the fielders was the bowler Parkinson as well. He did not want to concede that second run.
As Parkinson bowls, and Walter just comes forward and plays up towards mid-wicket. I remember the days, Glenn, when Paul Walter would turn up in the T20 match, bowl 1 over, disappear for the rest of the innings, and then he'd get a bat later on. But his role's changed a little bit, and I do think he's missed from the Championship side in the way he's bowling a few more overs now in the Championship, which is a good thing. And he is critical in balancing the Essex side, because I always feel in the Championship, despite how well Essex do, so often they go into a game and you feel they're just one man short, either depending on what balance of a side they have. They can look a bit short in in the batting lineup, or they can obviously just look a little bit fragile with 3 seamers. And of course the risk to injuries to seamers, as we saw with Sam Cook, has been quite significant this season. 105 for 2, and we've had 12 overs.
I know he batted well in that championship game against Surrey, and ultimately it was in a losing effort, but he picked up a couple of really good wickets in the first innings there, just to help restrict Surrey, did Paul Walter. It just shows you what a really good operator he is. Tom Rogers is going to bowl from the Graham Gooch end. Showed up well from Mr. Alistair Cook end in the opening stages doing the power play. And he's coming herring in now and bowling to Pepper, who traps the bat down on it. Rogers tries to stop it in his follow through, but can't prevent the single. 106 for 2 is the score. Glenn Speller and Nick Gledhill with you at a warm and humid but very pleasant Chelmsford County ground this evening.
And of course looking forward to seeing Sam Cook, not necessarily with the bat, Essex supporters will be thinking, but certainly with the ball a little bit later on.
143 for 9 now, Gloucestershire, so they're still 39 runs
It shows
short.
the difference when you suddenly you're expected to win. It's just a different mentality, isn't it?
Rogers into the left-handed Walter, bowls, and that's flown away off the outside edge again of Walter's bat. I thought I was going to go to gully momentarily, but goes down to deep third and they come through for a single. 107 for 2 is the score.
The more you look at this, Glenn, the more you think 180 is a decent score, because there's a bit happening out there, isn't there, for the seamers and for Parkinson. And I mean, it's not straightforward. It's certainly anything close to 200, upwards of 180, could be just what Essex want here.
I don't think any of the Chelmsford tracks in this competition this season have been straightforward at all. There always seems to be just a little bit in it. Rogers comes in and bowls to Pepper. That's a full toss, about waist high, and Pepper squeezes up one away behind square on the onside, comes through for the single. 108 for 2. I mean, it's a relatively small ground for T20 cricket, but getting to 200.
The truest surface was undoubtedly the Middlesex home game, where Middlesex got to 200 but was still 15-20 light. That was the sort of pitch that we've often seen here, which is ideal for T20. I have to say that the pitch for the Glamorgan game in the end just produced a very good contest, wasn't it? Didn't it? And most enjoyable.
Yeah, low-scoring games can be good too. 108 for 2, Essex. Rogers into Walters, steps away and slices that one away behind square on the offside, and it's wide enough of the man on the square cover boundary to pick up 2 runs as he comes round to tidy up. 110 for 2. Yes, that Sunday afternoon game here, when Middlesex got to 200 and then Essex chased it down with that century by Michael Pepper. And just a couple of the games that I've done here as well, you speak to the Essex players, and the game here against Sussex where they said, just not getting to 200 proved fatal in the end, and the same down at Taunton as well, where they looked like they got a decent enough total, but had they got to 200 they might well have won that game. 110 for 2. Rogers into Walter, pulls up one down to the long leg boundary, but there is man under the lip of the stand who comes around and picks up and prevents nothing more than a single. That is Matt Parkinson, who's bowled really well here. 111 for 2. One more ball to go.
Yeah, you feel with Cook back and get Cox, and I'm not sure whether Dan Sams will be able to make the knockouts. I know his injury is a little bit more long term, but obviously he's been a big miss, hasn't he, in terms of the way he can control things at the back end of the innings.
Rogers to finish up the 13th over then. In and bowls. Pepper comes down the wicket and drives forcefully. On the bounce, mid-off does a really good stop in the end to make sure he gets everything behind it. And the score moves up by just the 1 run. End of the over. 13 gone now here on BBC Essex. 7 to go in this Essex innings, and they've got a nice solid base to build from here at 112 for 2. 33 to Pepper and 7 to Walter.
Well, they'll be thinking about the sort of score that they'll need on this surface, and obviously they'll be conscious about not over-committing, and suddenly a flurry of wickets and a few problems. So it's going to be calculated aggression. Parkinson's done a pretty good job. I think his figures of 1 for 25 in 3 overs. He's probably bowled a bit better than that. He's caused a few problems. He comes for his last over, So we've got the 2 men backward of square, saving one on the offside, short third man backward point, extra cover and short fine leg, and this delivery just turning a little bit, and Pepper plays it away again into that no man's land, if you like, with no pace on the leg side, but it's almost a possible second run, and very enthusiastically Parkinson beats the other fielders who are converging on the ball, and there's just the one, and it's 113 for 2.
The batting to come for Essex: Das, Critchley, Charlie Allison, Harmer, Snater, Bosch, and the returning Sam Cook.
Interesting to see if Charlie Allison can make a bit of an impact here. He kept his place in the side, but obviously he want to get some decent time in the middle. As Parkinson bowls, and driven away nicely by Walter. A possible second here, because Long On has got to move across some distance, and that was well run. They sized up the fact there was going to be 2 there fairly early on, and good committed running as it went just wide of the long on fielder coming off the boundary away to our left, and it's 115 for 2. We're in the 14th over here on BBC Essex. Still quite heavy cloud cover, a humid evening, as Walter just goes back to his crease to another ball that turns and plays it for a single just out there towards backward point. Yeah, interesting, definitely something there for Parkinson, and Critchley will be interested in that later on.
Yeah, so they've got they've got just the 2 spinners in the team this evening, electing to leave out Luke Benkenstein, who's done a really good job in this competition when called on this season for Essex.
He has. Parkinson bowls, and this is hit in the air and is going to be caught, and that's a pretty good catch in the end at deep mid wicket, because the ball was certainly travelling, and it's Mayeye who's actually judged that pretty well in the end and taken it low down. And just when a really impressive innings, a bit like Adam Rossington really, was threatening an innings that could take the game away from Kent, the wicket has gone down, and Michael Pepper makes his way off, having made 34 from 20 balls, but in the end not quite getting hold of that one, and Mayeu judged it well at deep mid wicket, took the catch. And what Kent are doing here is just chipping away, getting a wicket to break momentum, and doing it fairly usefully at the moment. It's a pretty even game, 116 for 3. We're in the 14th over, but if Kent were to strike again quickly, as Critchley comes in, he could do with a bit of a score here. If they were to strike again quickly, it might just cause a bit of pressure for Essex. So I think this is quite an important partnership here, Glenn.
Yeah, just didn't quite get all of it, did he? Michael Pepper just didn't get enough under it to get it up and over the fielder, and Mayeye judged that quite nicely, actually coming in from the mid-wicket fence in the end. And yeah, important for Matt Critchley to get a score, but important as well that Essex don't lose a couple in quick succession to completely lose any momentum from this innings. We're in the 14th over, so plenty of time here still.
Essex sent in, they would have preferred to bowl. Simon Harmer told the gathering here in his on the field mic'd interview before the match started. And Parkinson is going to bowl to Critchley, who'll get a delivery again that just turns a little bit, and he's just watchfully playing that defensively into the offside. Yeah, uncharacteristic campaign for Matt Critchley with the bats. Has not got going, been very effective with the ball. 116 for 3. Parkinson bowls to him, and he gets one that's well pitched up and drives it firmly back to the former Lancashire man, and that's the end of a good over. It's 116 for 3. That's a pretty tight over that. 2 for 29 in the end, 4 overs for Parkinson. A good spell. 6 overs to go, 116 for 3. Innings at a little bit of a crossroads once again.
Yeah, spot on. That's what I was just thinking, just as that last ball was delivered by Parkinson. This can go one of 2 ways now here for Essex. They don't want to end up in middle ground of sort of 170, because at one point they were pushing towards 200. It's not the easiest of pitches, but Rossington, Elgar and Pepper have all proven that you can score and you can play your shots, but you've got 2 relatively fresh batters out there now as well. So Sam Billings having a long old chat with Joey Everson at the far end, the Graham Gooch end here at the county ground, before they start this 15th over. So Essex just need to mind their work a little bit here. Billings continues to direct trouble. We saw it a long time here, didn't we, with James Foster, how difficult it is if you're keeping wicket and captaining as well. It can be a really tough job. Everson is in and bowls to Walter, who eases this one up to long on and comes through for the single, 117 for 3, especially if you want to go to the end where your bowler's bowling from and have a chat with him, and you've got to come all the way then down to the striker's end to keep wicket as well. It just eats up time. And changing the batter brings Critchley onto strike, so Billings wants to make sure he's got his fielders exactly where he wants them and make sure everyone's doing the job and concentrated.
Middlesex beat Gloucestershire by 29 runs. The Cheltenham crowd will be disappointed with that. They'll come with great expectation. There's one more game at Cheltenham. Unfortunately, just the one championship match there this year, which is a great shame. Pretty good one, wasn't it?
Comes in and bowls to Critchley. Gets himself off the mark here with a single behind square on the offside. 118 for 3. Yes, almost that record chase, which came down to one ball at the end.
Wonderful venue where Essex perform routinely whenever they go there, worse than anywhere else in the country.
We've had a few rain-offs there as though, the Essex though.
And you're surprised Essex aren't invited there every year by Gloucestershire, but we always like going there when it comes up. Wonderful venue.
Everson into the left-handed Walter. Walter tries to step away and tries to hit that one square on the offside, but it gets an under edge and bounces through to Billings. 118 for 3. We're in the 15th over on BBC Essex. Everson none for 22 so far.
Yeah, I think we can say that 180 would have been a pretty good. I don't think Essex will get there now. It would have been a very good score on this pitch. They're going to do well to get to that mark, because certainly it is difficult timing. Ball is just doing the odd bit for seamers and spin.
Everson round the wicket now to Walter. Walter drives up to long on, but he'll only get the single again. 119 for 3. It's good work from Kent here. They've just stopped Essex's momentum in its tracks and suddenly finding the boundary.
Yeah, you feel 180 would be a really good score on this. Well, what we've seen, Glenn, there's certainly a little bit in it there, and it just needs this pair to get in, get established, size up what's happening, and then try and take advantage once they've really got their eye in.
Just finding the boundaries becoming an issue here, but Essex just need to be careful as Everson comes in and bowls to Critchley, pushes back to the bowler for no run on his follow through. 119 for 3, and it's a becalmed county ground at the moment. There's people watching on, realising that we're at an important stage of the game, whether Critchley and Walter can get them firing again at the back end of this innings. Still Robin Dass and Charlie Allison to come of the batters. As here comes Everson again. In and bowls. Critchley this time can just cut that one behind square on the offside, where Bell Drummond comes in and does the fielding, but again it's only a single. 120 for 3. Good over this from Joey Everson. In fact, good over that from Joey Everson, because it's the end of it. And Essex, with 5 overs still to go, are 120 for 3, and we might be redrawing and recalculating what we think is going to be something challenging here for Kent, Nick.
Yes, I mean, it's looking like 160, 165 might be a pretty good score. Obviously, struggles for Matt Critchley in this particular format, but he did get a 53 against Durham and a 48 against Surrey in the championship, so it's not as though he's completely run aground with the bat, but just the way he started this innings is, we've seen Matt Critchley in the past, and he'll be up and running and hitting the odd early boundaries, but he's just been a bit tentative at the start here, just sensing that he really wants to just size things up and get in and get started. Reardon comes on as a second spinner, and that's played back down the pitch by Critchley. So 2 from 6 balls. It's quite sort of un-Critchley-like, isn't it? But it's just perhaps indicative of someone not currently in the best of form as Reardon bowls. That one's hit quite firmly, but out towards deep mid-wicket. Wasn't timed, and he gets a single. So goes along to 3 from 7. But let's say Essex rather becalmed, 121 for 3 in the 16th, and Reardon started pretty well, following on from Parkinson at this Alistair Cook end.
Just pushes it through a lot quicker, doesn't he, Reardon? A lot flatter.
Good crowd in. Might be a need for the odd jacket later on. It cools down, but many in shirt sleeve order as this one turns and Walter backs away and just plays it out towards leaning at long off. Well, Ken will be delighted with this, even more delighted if they had a chance of actually getting out of the group, which unfortunately for them that probably has come and gone, but we've done pretty well here, And they're keeping Essex very quiet. 121 for 3, 16th over. Reardon bowls a flat one. It's driven away firmly past the bowler for another single, this time to Critchley. So he goes along to 4. Walters took him to 13, 123 for 3, 3 singles in a row. That'll suit the bowling side with 7 wickets in hand and inside the last 5 overs. Here's Walter again. Bowls and that's a missed stumping. That's gone down for 4 byes. He went down the pitch, Walter, there, and missed it, and it was missed behind the stumps by Billing. I'm pretty sure that was a stumping chance, and 4 byes to the total. That certainly turned. And as I say, Essex might be thinking we might be looking at wanting to have a third spinner on this, but at least some runs for Essex, even if from an unexpected quarter. Misses a much better hit up towards deep mid wicket and over Finch's head, and that's just what the crowd wanted. Paul Walter picking that one up off length and hitting it cleanly with great power over Finch's head. The man was in the right place, but unfortunately for him, it was clearing him quite comfortably and away into the crowd at deep mid wicket. So the 4 byes which broke the shackles, if you like, the possible missed stumping, and then the 6 from Walter, which has got Essex 10 runs from the last 2 deliveries of that over. That makes a bit of a difference. 133 for 3 with 4 to go, and Walter has 19 and 4 to Critchley.
Well, before that 4 byes that went down, I just turned to our scorer David Jackman and just inquired as to when the last boundary was. Before that, it happened 5 overs. 5 overs the gap we had without a boundary, and the 4 byes were quickly followed by a mighty 6 struck by Paul Walter. So, as you say, just releasing the shackles a little bit. Nathan Gilchrist is back on from the Graham Gooch end. 133 for 3 here on BBC Essex. 4 overs to go of this Essex innings. Don't forget, Kent won the toss. They elected to put Essex in. They've elected to chase this evening. The side from over the bridge, as Billings just directs operations. He's just inquiring with his bowler, and again, this just shows you the problems that a wicketkeeper captain has, because he's, rather than being up alongside his bowler this time, he's having to bellow from one end of the field to the other just to check whether he's happy, and he wants to bring long off up onto the edge of the circle and send fine leg down to long leg. Gilchrist is ready now. He's in and he bowls to Critchley, hits that straight down the ground, straight as a die into the sight screen. 6 runs, 139 for 3.
Well, that's a bit more like it for Matt Critchley. We're waiting for that for a while. Lovely strike down the ground into the sight screen, as you say, and a few more of those and 180 might be back on the cards. So far Essex have lost 3 wickets, no one for less than 33, no one for more than 36. 36 to Rossington, 33 to Elgar, 34 to Pepper, and maybe these 2 can get up into the 30s as well.
139 for 3. Gilchrist, a little bit of sunshine peeps through as he comes in and bowls to Critchley. Full delivery this time, as well bowled. Critchley jams the bat down, and it should be 2 here. No, they elect for safety first. The fielder got there quickly enough to dissuade them from turning for the second. 140 for 3.
It's tricky to get that absolutely right so that it's a 2. Probably just hit it a little bit too firmly, but it's an art form, that, just a shot with no power into the onside, because most of the boundary fielders on the onside back on the boundary, and you can get a 2 if you hit it in exactly the right place with sufficient amount of power, or lack of it.
Rogers did a good job in getting there quickly enough. This next one from Gilchrist has Walter heaving it away into the onside and picking up 4 runs as Bell Drummond herring round for mid-wicket, can't get out there quick enough. 144 for 3, and Essex just beginning to build again towards the back end of this innings. They got a little bit quiet in the middle part of this innings, and you're starting to recalculate things, but Walter and Critchley just getting it ticking over again.
Yeah, 180 back on the cards, and if they get there, I think it'll be a pretty good score on this surface.
On 44 for 3. Gilchrist into the left-handed Walter. Walter back on his stumps, drives up to long off. Only the single there, no timing. 145 for 3 is the score. All change as the right-handed Critchley comes down on 2 strike. 4 balls gone in this, the 17th over, and Essex have got 12 from it so far. Billings this time goes to his bowler's end to Gilchrist to discuss a couple of things here. Look at the onside, Nick. There's nobody there.
Yes.
Nobody there stopping anything in terms of a 1 and possibly a 2. They've got deep backward square out, deep mid-wicket out on the fence, long on out on the fence as well. Runs all there. They need the bowler to bowl outside off stump. Gilchrist comes in. He doesn't, and Critchley heaves that one away into the onside and picks up 4 runs. 149 for 3.
Well, Critchley closing in his best score of the campaign so far, and he's starting to strike the ball pretty well. Just interesting the way he almost consciously played himself in there. I think he was something like 3 from 7 balls at one point, and just sized it up, and that was probably a very good thing from his point of view, rather than going for it straight away, given the fact he hasn't been in form in the competition, and it seems to be paying dividends at the moment.
Nice firmly struck shot that. Lots more sunshine now here at the county ground. Gilchrist's in, Critchley heaves that one away on the bounce in front of mid-wicket, and they come through for a single, and that brings the Essex 150 up at the end of the 17th over. 150 exactly Essex for 3 here. It's actually a sensible piece of fielding by deep mid-wicket. He wasn't going to get there for the catch, so he made sure that he just prevented any more than the single in the end.
Yep, so what, 3 overs to go? Yeah, still looking with 7 wickets in hand like it should be around 180. If things went particularly well, they could be up around 190, and that I think would be particularly impressive from where Essex were just a few overs ago, and they were rather becalmed. But Critchley's played himself in, and Walters looked good and looked like the man in form that he is. Quarter-finals in this are over 4 consecutive evenings in the first week of September. Everyone will be fighting to get the Thursday or Friday night game, particularly the Friday night one. Maybe Surrey will settle for the Thursday night game if they're at home. Wouldn't be surprised if that's the one that they end up with. But I have to say, a Tuesday and a Wednesday evening, I think the schools might be back by then. Might not be the easiest sell for some counties, so there'll certainly be a lot of interest into how those games get allocated and who gets what. We shall wait and see. Hopefully Essex will be one of the 8 sides involved. 150 for 3, in a decent position in this game at the moment. It's the start of the 18th over, and that's hit away firmly for a single out towards deep extra cover. Not quite what Critchley wanted, just indication that first ball from Everson's over. He was hoping for bigger dividends from that. Just threw his head back, got a single, rotated for strike, and it's 151 for 3. And yeah, it's been an interesting innings where Essex have looked to struggle a bit at times on a pitch that's offered a bit to all bowlers, and at some other occasions they're able to strike the ball quite freely. Jerry Everson goes round the wicket, and that's picked up and hit away firmly for 6. That was really hit hard, and it's gone out towards long leg. You don't see many actually hit as firmly in that direction. That was a splendid shot from Walters, slightly over pitch. He's picked it up, and he's deposited it to the sort of long leg boundary for 6, and that involves quite a lot of power in that sort of shot, and brilliantly struck. I mean, 30 from 17 balls, he's really going here. Yeah. Another 30 for Essex. Yeah,
really good pickup then to take evasive action in that Tiptree Jam stand as well, because they would not have been expecting it to come down from there.
Particularly with the batter at this end, as that's a delivery which is a good one from Everson, a bit of extra bounce, and Walter was going for the cut and missed it. But there is, a little bit in it for the bowlers, and Billings is having a chat to Everson at the moment, probably saying that was a good one. Let's have another one like that. 157 for 3, but Walter 30 from 18. Critchley has got past that 16 mark where he's been stuck this season. He's on 17, so that's a bit of a fillip for him.
Well, the cut-off is 19 minutes past 8 here, and it's getting up towards 12 minutes past 8. I don't think Billings can afford to keep running to the other end.
Interesting. 157 for 3 in the 18th as Everson bowls, and Walter hits that firmly out towards Mayeye on the deep cover boundary and gets a single. Again, he's a bit annoyed with himself. Both batters have actually shown annoyance with the way they've struck the ball in this particular over, but it's an indication obviously that it's not straightforward batting out there, and Everson will feel that the 6 aside, he's done pretty well in this over, given there are 7 wickets left for Kent to take. What Essex won't want to do is end up with a score 3 wickets down and lose the game. Because you always, in that sort of situation, you always feel, what have you left out there? There's only 3 wickets down, so they're going to want to try and capitalise on the fact they've got these wickets in hand. The stage is set to get up to 180 and beyond, which should be a pretty good score on this surface. 4 in the circle, the rest on the boundary. Everson up to the wicket, bowls, and that's clubbed away down the ground, but just for a single out to long off. And the 6 aside, no blame to Everson for that, it was all Walter really. It was a brilliant pickup. It's been a pretty effective over. 159 for 3, with 9 from the over so far and a ball to go.
Yes, and Yorkshire hurtling towards victory against Durham in the north section. Could be in for a tight finish at New Road, where Leicestershire are chasing 185 to beat Worcestershire. They're 134 for 7 at the moment. Derbyshire against Lancashire Lightning, no play.
Everson again, just a little bit short of a length. And Walter plays without timing away into the offside and collects a single. And Gilchrist fields, and I say the 6 aside. That was a very effective over from Everson. 160 for 3 with 2 to go. Critchley 18 from 14, and Walter 32 from 20 to add to those 30s from Elgar Rossington and indeed Michael Pepper.
Women's T20 international being played down at Canterbury as well this evening. England against New Zealand. New Zealand 141 for 8 in their 20 overs, and England, after 1 ball of their reply, are 0 for 1. So in control of that series. So we're looking almost, aren't we, Nick? 2 overs to go. I think Essex, if they can get to 180, they'll be satisfied. Not delighted, probably not pleased, but probably satisfied.
Yes, it looked out of reach, didn't it, a few overs ago, but that spate of scoring has certainly helped. Taylor's back, and he was impressive in his first spell in particular.
Yeah, he's built up quite a head of steam, didn't he, Tom Rogers, from this Sir Alistair Cook end, but gonna finish off from the Graham Gooch end this time, which means he's running towards us, and more pertinently towards Paul Walter. He's in and bowl, and Walter eases that one into the onside. Only be the single here. They turn and look for the second, but Mayeye is too quick, cuts off the second. 161 for 3, good piece of fielding.
Yes, Tom Rogers, pretty impressive, the 30-year-old Australian, certainly in that opening spell. The first over he bowled in particular looked certainly quite a handful. And then he comes now back for the 19th over, and often the best bowler is associated with this particular over, and he is Kent's pick.
White towel tucked into the back of his trouser waistband as he comes in and bowls to Critchley again. He just jams the bat down on that. It was a real full, quick delivery that from Rogers. Only the singular cruise, 162 for 3, 10 legal deliveries remaining of this Essex innings. Put into bat by Kent, who won the toss here.
Yes, and one of the things about Kent this season is in the Championship they've really struggled to take wickets, and I feel someone like this chap might have been very useful for them.
Rogers turns in the bright sunshine once again and bowls. That's a full delivery, it's a full toss, and Walter lofts that away over long on. Just going to check with the fielder out there. The rope is inside the advertising hoardings, and it's gone over the rope but hit the advertising hoardings, but the fact it's gone over the rope on the full means it is a 6. 168 for 3, and Walter goes to 39.
Yeah, good pick-up, and that's a needed boundary for Essex, because it had been a pretty tight over up to that point. Just had enough, and say with the rope in, just falling over that rope, and a maximum.
Of course, if the rope hadn't been there and it hit the hoardings on the full, it would have been a 4, but the rope is there. So that's a slower delivery this time by Rogers. Walter doesn't know where it's gone. It's hit him on the front pad, dribbled away to the offside, and they come through for a single. 169 for 3 is the Essex score. Walter goes on to 39, to 40 in fact. They've given him that run. It wasn't a leg bite, so it's come off the inside edge onto that pad, so he goes to 40, and Critchley there on 19.
Yeah, it's certainly a useful score on this surface. It's interesting, Essex only 3 wickets down, so I want to make sure that they make the most of the fact they've had these wickets in hand.
Here's Rogers, in and bowls to Critchley. Oh, and again it's a Yorker length, and Critchley again, as the batters have had to do, just jams something down on it and gets the single as it goes up to mid-on. 170 for 3. One more ball to go of this, the penultimate over. 10 from it so far.
Yeah, he's played 51 T20 matches in his career. Played for the Melbourne Stars, Sydney Sixers, Melbourne Renegades, so involved in the Big Bash, and indeed the Hobart Hurricanes.
He's getting the air miles in anyway. Yeah. Here's Rogers in. Walter comes down the pitch, but in the end Yorks himself and can do no more than get the single up to mid-on. End of the over. 11 from it. 171 for 3. So if Essex can do something similar again, they'll just be on that 180 mark, as Walter just examines the very toe of his bat, indicating to Matt Critchley that's where he hit the ball with that last delivery. So good comeback from Kent in the middle of the innings here, but Essex have just got to grips with things once again. And it is going to be Grant Stewart who's going to finish things off. Got a little bit of tap at the top of the innings in the power play, but that can easily happen.
Interesting that Rogers, his career didn't start till 2017. He's only played 15 first-class games. He's obviously viewed as a limited overs specialist, 27 List A games and 51 T20s, but he's looked pretty good, to say. And interesting to see if he's able to make an impact when if he gets a chance later on. So it's going to be one of the stalwarts of the Kent side, Grant Stewart, at 171 for 3 with Essex eyeing 180 plus. He comes into bowl from Alistair Cook-Enemies, is hit away in the air, and on one bounce it goes out to Moyei at deep cover. Again, Walter, he's so annoyed with himself. He slams his glove down on his thigh, thinking, why didn't I play that better? But it was a single in the end. He was trying to hit it a lot straighter, I think, but he gets a run and gives a strike to Critchley, and one is better than none in this situation. 172 for 3.
It's the full toss again, isn't it? It's almost the surprise delivery.
Short throw and backward point, wide mid-off, short fine leg, everybody else on the boundary, and Stewart bowls, and this time that's a wide delivery which is played well by Critchley, over backward point for 4. He reached for it and just glided it to make sure, but it went over the fielder's head, and it was very effective. And this is a bit more like the back Critchley we've come to know in T20 cricket in particular. He's left it late, but he's arrived as a batter in this campaign. 24, not a monumental score, but he's looked a bit more like his usual self. 24 from 17 balls out of 176 for 3, and it is looking like 180 plus.
Good shot there. It was deliberately played as well. Deliberately made sure he got under it and guided it over gully.
Here's Stewart again, up to the wicket. It was a very short delivery, and it's pulled 4-6. That was a really strange execution from Grant Stewart. He absolutely dug that down. It pitched in his half of the pitch, and it sat up, and Critchley said, thank you very much. All I've got to do is get enough on this to clear the man at deep mid-wicket, and he did. What a really strange delivery, and just a few worrying signs here for Kent, because they would have been thinking Essex maybe 165, 170 a few minutes ago, but they haven't broken this partnership. We thought it would be important, and it's paying dividends now for Essex. 182 for 3.
The attempted slower ball bouncer, wasn't it? And it's just come out all wrong, as you say. It's pitched in his half, and Critchley just has to wait for it and make sure he gets enough on it. And you could see the hands got the handle as well, gave it the real long handle to make sure he got the elevation on it. So Essex have got what they wanted, exactly what they wanted, beyond the 180 mark, and there are still 3 balls to come of this last over, 11 off it so far.
Critchley has 30. Walters had the audacity to get past the 30s actually in this innings, and no one's managed. He's got to 42, and here's Critchley getting a good delivery, which is more what he was trying to bowl, I think, before. It's well pitched up, it's roundabout off stump, and he's just played it away for a single. But a bit of damage being done here, with 12 off the over so far and 2 to come. 183 for 3. Critchley 31 and Walter an impressive 42 from 25. And it's a very even looking Essex scorecard, with Critchley could end up as second top score, or we might end up as the lowest score. It's a very close run thing. Here's Stewart again, up to the wicket, bowls, and Walter hits this away. That's a good looking stroke, but it's going to be stopped on the deep mid wicket boundary, and that'll save 2 runs. Good bit of fielding out there, because Finch had a distance to travel, got there from deep mid wicket and made sure it was no more than 2. So the best Walter can do now, with 1 ball to go, is to get to 50 with 1 shot, which I'm thinking pretty much is what's going to be on his mind here. 185 for 3.
Yeah, in fairness to Grant Stewart, the last couple of deliveries have been pretty much on the mark, haven't they? It's a good comeback from him, because it could have turned into an absolute disaster for him and his team. As it is, they're going to be chasing something quite formidable, I think, here.
Yeah, certainly the way this pitch is played, it would appear to be the case. As Stewart bowls one that's right up in the block column, Walter plays a very good stroke here, but doesn't manage to find the boundary, because the intention was very much right there, but just didn't quite hit it straight enough. A little bit too square, and the boundary rider got round. But Walter's finished with a very impressive 46 from 27 Certainly he's the man of the moment, really, after being claimed as the player of the month, and he's come in as top score here, 46 from 27. Say, Critchley unfortunately ends up with the lowest score, but it's been a strange innings for Essex, where consistency has been the key, with 3 batters out in the 30s. Critchley also making the 30s, but in the end it was Walter who took the honours. So everyone getting between Critchley's 31 and Walter's 46. I think you can call it a team batting performance there, Glenn. Just 3 wickets down. Essex wouldn't want to lose the game having only lost 3 wickets, but I think, as you're indicating there, they're probably favourites going into the second half of the match.
Yeah, and I guess the one disappointment for Essex is that no one's gone on and made a big score, but say everyone's contributed, everyone's done their job down it. There was a slight loss of momentum in the middle of the innings, which was down to some good work by Kent, and Essex just losing a couple of quick wickets and to shots which didn't quite have to carry on to get the distance over the boundary, and fielders taking them about 3/4 of the way to the rope, and that was Elgar and that was Pepper, who again both got themselves starts and got themselves into the 30s, as you mentioned there, Nick. But yeah, 188 for victory here for Kent. It's not impossible by any shape of things to come, but certainly something very testing, where if you don't get off to a flyer and don't make full use of the power play, you could very quickly find yourself behind the game. So Essex, I think, slightly ahead, slightly in the box seat here, and more so as well with the news that Gloucestershire have lost tonight. Gloucestershire, one of the sides pursuing Essex for a quarter-final position, beaten by 29 runs by Middlesex this evening down at Cheltenham. So the table looks like this: Surrey played 10-16, Sussex played 10-14, Somerset played 10-11, Essex played 10-11, Gloucestershire in 5th played 11 on 11 points, and then Glamorgan, who played 10 on 9 points. Hampshire and Middlesex on 7 and Kent on 6 are out of the reckoning now, and Glamorgan are going to need to turn, I think, probably win their last 4 games if they're going to get there, certainly win 3 of them, if not all 4 of them, to stand a chance. But that result this evening certainly has given Essex a helping hand. In the North Group tonight, Worcestershire on course for victory against Leicestershire, 184 for 8 Worcestershire. Leicestershire in the final over are 167 for 9, and Yorkshire hurtling towards victory against Durham. Durham won the toss and elected to bat. They made just 107 all out, and Yorkshire Vikings are 66 for 1 in the 10th over. There's been quite a lot in the North Group, and you scan through the results, been quite a lot of big wins or big defeats depending on how you want to look at it. No play between Derbyshire and Lancashire, and in that women's T20 international down at Canterbury, England's women chasing 142 to beat New Zealand are 18 for 1 after 3 overs. And if you missed the test match earlier on, West Indies 79 for 6 in their second innings, still trail England.
So we've got a battle of the bridge going on the pitch. We thought we'd have a battle of the bridge going on with our Thatchers apple race as well. So here we have Liz and Les, give us a wave. This is the Kent side of the bridge. And over this side, Bill and Michael. Now all they've got to do is push the apple up to the cones and back again. First one back, very simple, you would think. Never simple in actuality. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Are you ready, guys? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, there's a runaway apple. Where you going? Where you going, man? Go on, Liz, go on, Liz. Tortoise and the hare comes to mind. Don't worry about it. Where did that go? We lost some space. Come on, keep going. Go on, Liz. Bill, where you going? He's taking his time. Come on, Les. Let's hear it from the Kent fans for Les. Both of you. Go on, Les. Big finish. Go on, go on, go on. The runners-up, Kent. The winners, Essex. And Michael and Bill are going to get a Thatchers gift pack to celebrate as well. Let's hope it's a portent of things to come in the next hour and a half.
Took a while, but always looked a fairly obvious wide outside the leg stump, and the batter made no attempt to play the ball. Fairly confident that the call was going to come in his favour. Yes, some pretty dark cloud around. The floodlights taking effect at around about 17 minutes to 9. It's Snater up to the wicket again. Bowls, full length delivery, hit in the air and safe, and it's going to be one bounce to the deep mid wicket boundary for 4. Not too far away, actually, that from Dean Elgar, but in the end it was pretty well judged. Picked it up on length, did Mayeye, hit it away for 4. That's a much needed boundary from the Kent perspective. They go to 14 for 1 in the 4th over.
Yeah, certainly had Ethan Bosch interested, didn't it? That deep square leg.
Yes, it is him, yeah, and it was not far away. Here's Snater again, bowls, and that's useful delivery with just a little dab shot into the offside. The direct hit would have been interesting there, because it's a slight delay in setting off for the single. Critchley was never too far away from it at backward point as he came in, and with one stump to aim at, had he hit there, would have been pretty interesting. But anyway, it is a single to Mayeye. He goes to 9, and Reardon has to strike for the first time.
Yeah, just feel that Kent here are straining for something. They feel that 3 overs have gone by where they haven't done anything.
It's 16 for 1 on BBC Essex. So this one from Snater fired in, and a quick single away into the onside. An attempt to pick the ball up in the end is unsuccessful there. As thought, pick the ball up and come in for the throw, but didn't quite manage to pick it up cleanly.
Yeah, Charlie Allison
on that occasion. Had he done and thrown, it would have again been quite tight. It was quite a sharp single earlier in the over, and that would have been another one. Charlie Allison not been in the game too much, hasn't again had a chance with the bat to make an impression. 17 for 1, Snater bowls, and this is played away up into the offside, and again, no run and a good piece of fielding at short cover. Essex very much on their toes, and where there have been some well-timed shots, they've actually gone straight to the fielders, or there have been some very good interventions, as there was from Harm a little while ago. That was a bit more straightforward, but they're giving Kent nothing here. 17 for 1 in the 4th over, and at the moment that target is looking quite a long way away. Still 171 to win after Essex made 187 for 3, which looked a good score on this surface. Snater bowls again from the Sir Alistair Cook end, and that's picked up and hit uppishly but safe, not particularly well timed. They'll come back for a second run out towards the deep mid wicket boundary, and there is Allison again involved in the action there. So a couple more runs and it goes to 19 for 1 coming towards the end of the 4th over, but Essex at the moment have got Kent very much becalmed, and they've taken the big wicket at Drummond. Here's Mayeye on strike again to Snater, who's up to the wicket, bowls, that's a full length, and it's hit in the air, and one bounce out to Das at mid-on.
Shane Snater's just had a little glance there at Robin Das, who didn't come in and attempt to take the catch. I think he's right. I think Robin Das is right there. He's got to make sure he stops the ball. Otherwise, he's got to dive forward there, and I don't think he's getting there. And it could easily.
I never thought it was.
I think it's the right decision.
Yeah, it's never a potential catch, and in the end, just making sure he got in line with it. Certainly threatening clouds over at former Hayes close end, Sir Graham Gooch end. Not quite so threatening immediately above us, but as I say, the forecast is not for rain, but it has that feel about it at the moment. 19 for 1, and we've had 4 overs, 168 needed off 60.
Ethan Bosch to continue from the Graham Gooch end. Really good first over including the wicket of Daniel Bell-Drummond. He's in and bowls to Mieye. Slower ball driven down the ground for 4 runs. It's the first one Mieye's timed, but he's timed it really nicely, and he goes up to the long off boundary for 4, 24 for 1, but it was in the slot to be struck.
Yeah, and Ethan Bosch just making his first mistake there, just slightly over pitching it and driven away very firmly. But yeah, we're yet to see him as sort of part of a winning Essex side in the Championship, but I think he's generally made a pretty good impression.
Oh, he's got the ball back in his hand again, and he's in and he bowls to Mieye, and this one in the air, down to deep backward square. It's gone the whole distance. That one a little bit more behind square than the one that dismissed Bell-Drummond from Mieye. Helps it on his way and picks up 6 runs, and Kent go along to 30 for 1 now as the lights completely take over here, and we can see the reflection off the batters' helmets as evidence for that. But Mieye just beginning to get going here. He's a more than useful operator at the top of this Kent order.
What a very good shot that was, because as I say, it was not a lot of power in that, it was all timing and hit away quite superbly.
Bosch then in, bowls, and Mieye this time on the back foot, but then scampers away for the single. This will be tight, but the ball evades the stumps from Charlie Allison. Can't quite hit it on the full. I think Mieye might just about have squeaked home. 31 for 1 in the 5th over of 6 of the power play here on BBC Essex.
Yes, I noticed actually there's no Joe Denley in the side this evening, who's often done very well indeed in all forms of cricket against Essex, so he's not around just at the moment. It's probably no bad thing from an Essex point of view.
Here's Bosch in and bowls to O'Riordan, who's leant forward on that one and eased it back over the bowler's head and into the sight screens for the second maximum of this Ethan Bosch over. And Kent just beginning to motor now with 2 6s and a 4 in this over.
Isn't it strange? He bowled such a good first over. Got the wicket, and as I say, it hasn't quite got the right line and length in this over, and there have been some boundary options out there for Kent which they've taken advantage of. 15
from the over, still 2 balls to go. 37 for 1 is the score. Bosch is in, bowls to O'Riordan, turns that one into the onside. There'll only be the single there. Now the mid-wicket fence comes in to collect. 38 for 1.
Of course, one current Kent player that we aren't seeing this evening, as well as Joe Denley, is one Feroz Khushi, who's played a couple of T20 games, played in the certainly the last Championship match that they played at over in Southampton, and very strange, of course, that he's not with Essex at the moment.
Bosch bowls to Mieye, and Mieye steps back and hits that one long over the Tiptree Jam stand. The 3rd 6 of the over, and that's got Kent well and truly into this game now. Wonderful striking of the ball from O'Riordan and from Mieye there, and Kent just building up a little bit of momentum, but there's only 1 over to go of the power play, with the score now at 44 for 1.
To say they've almost in the course of that over sort of pulled back the deficit, because they've only lost 1 wicket. Where are we? 44 for 1 after 5. Not too bad. I mean, certainly a lot better than it was looking. Suddenly Bosch's figures are 2 overs for 25, and a bit of pressure on Essex, and certainly that 144 to win off 15 is not looking quite so daunting as
interesting.
It might have been. So start of the new over, and it's Cook on from the Sir Alistair Cook end, and that is a beautiful drive, back foot drive away through the covers for 4 from O'Riordan. Suddenly Kent are really flying. Yes, Cook coming back on out of the power play, having switched ends. Interesting one, and it's 42 for 1. It's not as though Essex are sort of desperate for a wicket or anything after that 1 over that went against them, but it's interesting to see that they've made this change now. Cook, we expect to bowl 2 overs, of course, towards the back end of the innings. So it's 48 for 1 now, as this is a delivery which is just back over length and helped away for a single out towards the Snater at deep mid-wicket. So O'Riordan moving along pretty nicely, 13 from 5, and Mieye 29 from 20. And Cook into his 2nd over, I suspect the last one for a while. 49 for 1 with 139 to win, and 14 overs and 4 balls to go. Could yet be an interesting game. It's a game you feel Essex should still win, But Kent are fighting, and that's a delivery which is just helped round the corner by Muyeye. It was a slower ball from Cook, and he just flicked it away, but he didn't hit it past the short fine leg, which would have been his original intention. And as he didn't, it was only going to be the one run, which takes the score up to 50. The scoreboard away on the far side of the ground is struggling. Yes, so I'm having to just turn to my right to get the latest score at the moment. The Kent 50 is up in the 6th over, and it's turning into an okay power play now, isn't it, Glenn, with just the 1 wicket down. As Cook moves in again, bowls a full toss. We've seen a few of those this evening. As hesitation between the two batters, and had Harmer picked it up cleanly, there could have been real trouble there, because I'm not sure that was particularly a single, and Harmer swooping in was looking to throw down the stumps, but didn't quite take the ball with him. So maybe a little bit of a let off there for Kent. 51 for 1 in the 6th. Pair of goals that have been together for a while, it appears, just flying over the dark skies at the Sir Graham Goocher end of the ground. And this is an interesting one. It's a slightly slower ball which bounces appreciably, and has Muyeye reaching for it, trying to cut it over backward point and not reaching it. Interestingly, a fly slip has been put in there for that. Perhaps a deliberate sort of ploy, but he didn't make any contact in the end. Yes, we've got a sort of a fly slip being sent back about halfway to the boundary. Quite an interesting field position there. Almost a short third man, but perhaps a little bit shorter than that. And this is hit away. It's a big hit, that, and it's going just to the left of us and away for 6 into a Tom Pearce stand. Fine stroke. Just for a moment we thought that might be coming into our commentary box, and I was thinking back to the famous occasion when Pat Murphy had to decide whether to take a catch in the tour match against Australia or not. But well, it's looking a bit better here for Kent. They're starting to find their range. I've had a couple of pretty decent overs back to back. The ploy of bringing Sam Cook back there didn't particularly work, and yeah, you would say that Essex probably could do with a breakthrough now, because both these batters are going pretty well at the same time. And so they've got their eye in now, Kent. 57 for 1. They need 131 at 9.4 from the remaining 14 overs. Remarkable how few wickets we've seen this evening, just 4 so far in the match. Yeah, required is 9.4. The current run rate is 9.5. So they're right on the money here, are Kent at the moment. We're going to see Matt Critchley come on to bowl from the Graham Gooch end. We've had a change of ball as well. It's a really fine shot that from Muyeye. He's going along very well, 36 from 23. But O'Riordan also scoring at over 200s at the moment. So Critchley then in and bowls to O'Riordan. O'Riordan drives wide of long off as well. I do well to cut this one off and prevent the boundary. There's a tumbling stop out there. They've taken 2 and they'll come back for a third. It's a good piece of fielding in the end, but Kent are motoring along here now at 60 for 1. What we are seeing, and we saw a bit of it I think from Critchley, the benefit of just getting your eye on this pitch, because the two batters were quite cautious early on, weren't they? And Critchley did this to a certain extent as well. Saw what the pitch was doing and then became more confident as they found that they got their eye in. 50 stand from 19 balls as Muyeye goes back on his stumps and pushes that out to the offside for a single, and it moves on to 61 for 1. Yes, just the 50-run partnership from just 19 deliveries between this pair. So Critchley is the 5th bowler to be used. Walter yet to bowl. Spins himself a catch, he's in and bowls, and O'Riordan drops his hands on that one, thinks there might be 2 here. No, long on comes in very quickly and cuts off the second. We've seen of course Walter bowl quite a fair portion of his allocation in many of the games, so we expect to see him fairly soon. 62 for 1. Critchley in again. Muyeye works that one into the onside. Is there a better chance of getting 2? Yes, Muyeye turns and takes on the arm and comes through for 2 and judges it really nicely as well. 64 for 1, and he goes to 39 from 25. Yeah, and they've got a partnership going here, and we'll sort of feel if they can just keep this going, it'll increase the pressure on Essex to take wickets. And it's been a very good response this from Kent. Critchley into Muyeye, who steps back and hacks that one away over extra cover and picks up 4 runs. He is motoring here to Wanda Muyeye. He goes into the 40s, 43 not out now from 26 balls, and Kent are 68 for 1
with 11 off this Matt Critchley over so far. They do now need a wicket, you feel, Essex. As Critchley comes in to finish off, Mieye works up one into the onside. There'll only be the single there, so they just jog through. 69 for 1, so a further 119 runs required by Kent from 13 overs.
10 off the 4th over, 22 off the 5th, 13 off the 6th, and that was, the score was 57 then, so again they've prospered, taken that on from there. And certainly it's been a real glut of runs since they had only 10 from the first 3 overs, of course, Glenn. So they've moved it along very impressively indeed. From the next 4, they've added, what, 59? So you can't say fairer than that. And Harmer is bringing himself back. 69 for 1. And 119 required. He comes in to bowl. That's a very full-length delivery and just played away for a single out towards Pepper at long on. It has been a curious affair, this surface, because at times it's looked pretty difficult for the batters with the ball doing a bit. Hasn't actually appeared to have done as much, I think, in this innings as perhaps it did in the first. But Harmer looking to see if he can get some turn. Bowls a flatter one. It's just played, punched away down the ground up towards long off. Snater for a single, and Kent will know that if they can just find a boundary and over here, and the singles will come. They're going to stay very much on target to get to this this total, which is still 117 runs away. 71 for 1. We're in the 8th over, and this is a good delivery from Harmer, which is just played defensively for the first time in a while by Mieye, who again is showing the benefit of having played himself in on this surface, as the ball rolls out to Robin Das at mid-wicket and there's no run. Harmer bowls again from the Sir Alistair Cook end. That's driven firmly but straight to Paul Walter, who we wait to see come to the crease with the ball. That's nicely stopped at cover. Harmer bowling at 71 for 1. Bowls, and this time again up on the pads. A quick single throw by Das. If that had hit, that I think would have been out. One stump to aim at. There's been some sharp singles here, but yeah, he knows that was a really close one, and he's thrown the bat in the air, perhaps thinking maybe we shouldn't have taken that risk. That was the indication, just a bit of body language in his reaction. One stump for Das to get, and he couldn't quite get it. And Harmer here is bowling a dot ball to end the over. That's a pretty good over that from Simon Harmer. Has kept it pretty quiet, and that's an over. If it didn't bring a wicket, at least it brought a little bit of respite. 2 overs for 7 for Simon Harmer, who on occasions has been quite expensive this season, but he'll settle for that. But would, I think, quite like a wicket in the Essex column in the not too distant future. 71 for 1 after 8, with 45 on the board to Mieye, 19 to O'Riordan, and 188 for target. 3 singles and 3 dot balls in that Simon Harmer over. Paul Walter is going to come on and have a go from the Graham Gooch end now. So Essex just hauling things back slightly in that Harmer over, but they're going to need 2 or 3 more like that if they don't get a wicket. But as you say, Mieye took his innings in his hands there, didn't he, with that single, because he was gone for all the money and he knew it as well. It was a poorly judged single, but they got through. And Walter left arm around into Mieye now. Slow ball, full length delivery. Mieye works that one out into the onside, and they will take 2 on this occasion as well, and moves the score up to 76 for 1. Yeah, so maybe it's the 6 or the bowlers that we're going to see, with Walter as the 4th seamer. And Essex, of course, have often had loads and loads of bowling options, but they've only got the 2 spinners this evening. Walter to Mieye, pulls that one into the onside, picks up a single, moves along to 49 from 33 balls. 75 for 1. Kent, they require another 113 runs for victory in 11.4 overs. Yeah, the game nicely balanced, and Kent have given it a good go this evening. It's always a bit deflating when you know you probably can't qualify. They've had a rough season, but looking to see if they can end their T20 campaign positively, and they play pretty well tonight. Walter to O'Riordan now. Bowls. O'Riordan pulls up one into the onside and will pick up 4 runs on the bounce. That one wide of mid-wicket, 79 for 1. He goes to 23, and the boundaries keep coming for Kent. Yeah, certainly Essex could do with a wicket now. You mentioned, Glenn, that the asking rate and the current rate that Kent are achieving are virtually the same. and it's below 10 and over. And while they've got 9 wickets in hand, if you keep it below 10 and over, the longer it goes, the greater the pressure on the fielding side.
Need a wicket here, Essex, as Walter bowls to O'Riordan and pulled away again, but this time will pick out the man at mid-wicket, so only the single. 80 for 1 more ball to come of this Paul Walter over.
Just strikes me that the pitch is doing a bit less than it was earlier. We saw, genuine turn for Parkinson. We saw certainly some miscues from the Essex batters where the ball was perhaps just gripping a bit, but there seemed to be a little bit less of that in this innings so far.
Went 1 too many, still 2 balls to come as Walter comes in, fires that one in. He's got something on that of Mayeye as he turns it round the corner. Rossington has a throw and hits the stumps. O'Riordan is home, and Tawenda Mayeye goes to a half century. 50 from 34 balls, 3 4s and 3 6s, and he has got his team in with a chance of winning this game.
Yeah, he's done very well, hasn't he? And after a pretty quiet start, remember just 10 runs from the first 3 overs. You think about what he's achieved since then, it's been quite remarkable. So been a very positive performance from him, and can he play the major innings that was perhaps lacking in the Essex effort?
Walter to finish off then, none for 9 in his first over. Bowls to O'Riordan. O'Riordan comes down the wicket, swings that one away straight to the man on the mid-wicket fence on the bounce. Come through for a single. 82 for 1, 10 from that Paul Walter over as well. So Kent require a further 106 runs.
That's right.
With the scoreboard's gone off again, and that scoreboard's not, working either.
107, I think.
107 required. From
that's right. I think it's up to date now.
A victory for Kent here at Chelmsford, which would dent Essex's quarter-final hopes. Matt Critchley's going to come on from the Sir Alistair Cook end now.
Very good recent record for Essex against Kent, but it's being put in jeopardy this evening. Here is Critchley with the ball bowling, and that's hit uppishly but safe and over. Allison at deep mid-wicket for 6, and what a great start to the over for Kent. They get a 4 or a 6 early on with 9 wickets in hand. You can just milk singles off the spinner. That's exactly what they wanted. It was a brilliant pick-up shot from O'Riordan, and Essex are up against it here. 87 for 1. Critchley bowls, and that's again what we thought might happen, just the push for the single. They've got the boundary, that's what they need. They can just take singles and not take risks now in the over. 89 for 1. Mayeye at 50 from 34. O'Riordan with the 6, 32 from 15, striking it over 200, and Essex under a lot of pressure with less than 100 to win. Here's Critchley again, bowls, and Mayeye gets a delivery that is wide outside the off stump, and he leaves it alone. It's not a deliberate ploy. He was expecting a wide to be called, it wasn't.
99 from 10.3 required.
Critchley bowls, flatter 1, pull drive, not particularly timed, but a single, which I say, with a 6 off the first ball, takes all the pressure off Kent, and Pepper completes the fielding at long on. And it's 90 for 1 with 98 required, and we've got 10 overs and a couple of deliveries left. It's remarkable, only 4 wickets have fallen this evening. This is cut away firmly down towards deep backward point for another single. So again, they sort of sized up the fact that having taken the 6 straight away, don't have to take any risks against the good deliveries, and there's a hint of a bit of turn here for Critchley, as you'd expect. As he comes in again, bowls, and that's hit uppishly but safe over extra cover and away towards the extra cover boundary, and Bosch can't stop it. So the bonus of the boundary of the last ball as well makes that a good over for Kent, and now Essex really are up against it. They're more than halfway to their target here, Kent. 95 for 1, and we're halfway through the overs. On the paper, Glenn, they are in a very, very good position. Essex have got to try and find a way to turn this round.
Yeah, I put Kent favourites now. They've nudged ahead in this game, haven't they? And these two have come together and have put their side in the box seat, and they should get it done from here. And Essex need wickets. They need a couple. They need back-to-back wickets, you feel, here, just to stop this Kent momentum, because at the moment these two are like a runaway train. As you say, the boundary comes early in the over, and it just takes all the pressure off. Shane Snater now from the Graham Gooch end. 95 for 1 is the Kent score. They require another 93 from 10 overs. Snater is in, caught and bowled! And O'Riordan's given it away. He's just placed the ball straight back into Snater's hands on the follow-through, and that's a very timely breakthrough for Essex. Kent 95 for 2. O'Riordan goes for 33 from just 17 balls.
Yeah, tame dismissal to end a very good innings. Sam Billings, another danger man coming out, will think that he's got a decent platform here, and I think he just says well done to his departing batter who's just going down in front of us, but he played really well, but he'll be annoyed with the tame nature of that dismissal. Bit uncommitted, perhaps not quite committed to the shot, and in the end a fairly comfortable return catch. Obviously, always for seam bowlers, it's never quite straightforward as they go through their follow-through, but that was probably about as straightforward as you can get, and certainly he made it look pretty comfortable there, did Shane Snater. But Snater is a man who's shown an ability to sort of turn things around with a bit of inspiration, and maybe he's just set off Essex off on the right course with that dismissal. 95 for 2, 1 ball into the 11th.
Now, he was involved in the other wicket as well to fall with a catch at deep backward square, Shane Snater. Now it's all his own work with a caught and bowled, just to sneak his side back into the game. But I need another one to get back towards parity. And as you say, Nick, we know all about Sam Billings because he's been in the county game for so many years now, and he can be destructive on his day. Snater bowls to Billings. Billings swings that one away to square leg, and he's off the mark. 97 for 2 brings the half centurion Mieye down onto strike. 55 not out from 37.
Kent's season has been so disappointing. I mean, they are stranded at the bottom of Division 1 of the Championship, and I see no way out for them, and that they've underperformed in this competition compared to what you sort of expect from them.
Snater to Mieye. Mieye was a missed drive, gets an outside edge on it, and it bounces agonisingly inches short of Matt Critchley, just on the edge of the circle.
It's almost another indication of Snater making things happen, getting the fast edge there, but not quite carrying to Critchley. But yeah, Kent need for their supporters to get a positive end to this campaign, just to sort of relaunch their season, and of course no better way to do that than by beating Essex on their own pitch.
Snater bowls, and Billings was trying to ramp that one over the head of Rossington. Instead it lobs up in the air. Snater gives chase, can't get there to make the catch, and they come through for a rather messy single in the end. 98 for 2. Incidentally, the DLS at this stage is 90, so Kent are ahead of that should we get some rain.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, there's been an incident off almost every ball of this over where there wasn't an awful lot happening for the Essex bowlers in the sort of 5 or 6 overs that preceded it, but Snater seems to be making things happen and creating chances.
Well, he's in now and bowling to Mieye. Mieye's bowled him!
It's an appeal for a
it's an appeal for a stumping. Snater was up in the air, he thought he'd been bowled. He then looks to Adam Rossington, who's pointing at the square leg umpire, appealing for the stumping. Quick work from Rossington that, but Mieye has his back foot planted. Everyone back on your heads. 98 for 2.
We're still getting an instant ball, aren't we, in this over? It's been a remarkable over from Snater, which has almost been worth more than the 1 wicket. Yeah, very fast hands that from Rossington. Yeah, still a chance to get something from the last ball.
Eventful over this, as Snater is in. Bowls to Mieye, just steers that one behind square on the offside and comes through for the single. 99 for 2, so he takes the strike. Good over that from Shane Snater. 1 for 14 from his 2 overs now, and Kent require a further 88 runs for victory here on BBC Essex with 9 overs remaining. So the required run rate is 9.9, just squeezing up towards that 10 mark again.
Yeah, they haven't let it get above 10 so far. Mieye, obviously a big wicket now because he's the man in, 57. And Sam Billings, obviously, his track record rather speaks for itself. So another big partnership for Essex to break. There is some quality to come after that. Jack Leaning. Harry Finch has done well in his outings with the bat for Kent this season in the competition. So still a lot of work for Essex to do, but a bit of a change of momentum with that Snater over. Here is Matt Critchley going to bowl to Mieye, and he goes onto the back foot and plays it straight out to cover. They go for a quick single, and again, if a throw had hit, that would have been close. There's certainly some dicey runs being taken out there, and that one again, I think as the throw came in, if that had hit, that would have been pretty close. It wasn't perhaps the most committed single, and it could easily have been run out there.
Brings up the Kent 100 as well.
100 for 2 with that run taking Mieye to 58. Billings is on strike. Critchley bowls, and that's a slightly flatter one, and it's hit away nicely through a gap, possibly for 2. They're going to come back for the second with the throw coming in from the wide long off boundary, and the score goes to 102 for 2, and we're 2 balls into the 12th over. The target 188, so a further 86 from 8 overs and 4 balls, with Mayeye playing the innings of the match so far, 58 from 41. Here's Critchley again. Bowls, and that's hit away uppishly, but in the air, and one bounce out towards deep cover. Snater, 1 more to the total, so not too far away from the fielder. Essex could do another wicket here just to consolidate that impact from Snater, but at least a couple of tighter overs being sent down after that glut of runs. This is pulled away in the air again, and it's going to bisect 2 boundary fielders, and that will get Kent moving again, because they're just going through a little bit of a quiet patch. But Elgar there couldn't quite get round to it. I think it was Bosch as well, and it sort of went between the 2 of them at deep square leg for 4, and that's a useful boundary for Kent. 107 for 2 and 81 required. We are in the 12th over. This is again hit in the air, but that's a really good shot. That's played very stylishly off the back foot. It was over cover's head, and Kent are moving again with consecutive 4s, and Mayeye has gone with those 2 boundaries from 58 to 66 from 43 balls. A lovely shot that.
Yeah, and ahead of the game now.
They certainly are with those 2 boundaries. 111 for 2. That's well pitched up and taken on the full in the end by Mayeye. He goes away for a single out towards Charlie Allison. But again, after a promising start to the over for Essex, I'll be worried by the way it ended with the 2 boundaries. And really, 112 for 2. It looked a challenging target, but I'm absolutely certain the ball has done less in this innings than it did in the first. 112 for 2, 76 required, and there's still 8 overs to go.
Yeah, Kent ahead of the game here in the box seat. Need to play some normal cricket and not panic, and Essex dearly need to get rid of Tawenda Mayeye, because he at the moment is the one man that is taking the game away from them. If they get him, Billings is still relatively early in his innings as well. It might just make Kent, who are not used to winning in this competition this season, might make them just panic a little bit and put some doubt in their minds. As it is, they need just another 76 runs from 8 overs.
This is Mayeye's highest T20 score.
As Paul Walters back on from the Graham Gooch end, slow outside off stump. Mayeye reaches for it and hits it straight to Simon Harmer. You get the feeling he could almost have left that alone. It was that wide.
Previous best 62 from his 33 previous matches, so that's a little landmark for him. And if he goes on to get 100, you feel Kent will win.
He's been seen pretty much as a sort of middle order batter, but in recent times has been coming in at the top of the Kent order. Half century against Hampshire recently in the county championship as well. As Walter around the wicket comes in and bowls to Mayeye, and Mayeye hits that one in the air up to long on the bounce, though it is stopped, so it prevents anything more than the single. 113 for 2. Good work done by Michael Pepper out there in the deep.
Yeah, it's been a bit frustrating for Essex. There have been a few occasions, Glenn, haven't there, where the ball has fallen just short of a fielder, sometimes an attentional shot, sometimes an edge. So Essex will feel things haven't quite gone their way with near things, but they've got to try and make something happen here.
Walter's got the new man, Billings on strike, 113 for 2. Walter bowls to Billings. Billings comes down the wicket, swings that one behind square on the onside and picks up 4 runs.
I think it's just been stopped
and hauled in there. Just the reflection in the window had me fooled momentarily. As one fielder seemed to give it up, but then there was another fielder, as I put my head further around the window, who comes in and picks it up. So good piece of fielding in the end. 115 for 2.
Looked like a very good bit of placement that from Billings. Stylish shot, but just at 2 runs.
Walter is in again and bowls, and Billings trying to ramp that one, gets nothing on it, and it goes through to Rossington. Seemed rather unnecessary, that.
Yeah,
Billings.
with Critchley down at fine leg, that looked like would have been a very tame dismissal if it had gone straight to him. So you feel that someone of Billings' experience will look at this score card and think, well, boundary and over singles, and we're going to get this without too much of a fuss. But they haven't got the boundary in this over, thanks to that good bit of work.
There's Matt Critchley down there thus far. Here's Walter round the wicket into Billings. Billings, won't get anything on that either. There's a bouncer from Walter wide of off stump. Billings comes down the wicket, gets nothing on it at all. Good piece of bowling.
Yeah, and I guess Bosch may not come back, so interesting to see how Harmer rotates his bowlers, but he'll be very pleased again with how Paul Walter is performing. He's had another very good all-round game, hasn't he?
115 for 2 on BBC Essex. The lights burning brightly in Chelmsford City Centre as Walter comes in and bowls to Billings. Billings on the back foot cuts that one away and picks up the single. So just the 4 runs from that Paul Walter over. 116 for 2. So it's a further 72 runs required from 7 overs. And for the first time, the required run rate nudges above that 10 mark.
But with 8 wickets in hand, and as I say, we have only seen 5 wickets fall this evening. Kent are still favourites. That was a good tight over. So we have a look at the current situation with who's left. So Cook has got 2 to go, so I think we're going to see him bowl 17 and probably 19, although Walter equally could bowl 2 overs around about that mark. It might be he does bowl his final 2. Harmer's got 2 left. Probably won't see Ethan Bosch again after his expensive second over. Snater's got 2 left. Plenty of options for Harmer, who's going to bowl his 3rd over now. Interesting to see if he bowls himself out. But he has bowled 2 overs for 7, so there's every reason at the moment for him to do so. Harmer looking for that wicket now, comes in to bowl, and that's full length and hit away in the air, safe, and I think it's going to go all the way for 6 to the deep mid-wicket boundary. It's just bounced short out of our side. It was well placed. There are 2 boundary fielders out there. There was an element of risk in the shot, but it was picked up pretty cleanly by Billings, and he's got it away just bouncing short of the boundary for 4 runs, and the score moves along to 120 for 2. So a boundary off Harmer's first ball, as that one's a flatter one. It's hit in the air. It should be caught at cover. It'll be a big wicket, and the catch is taken. A real miscue that, having got the boundary off the first ball, perhaps it wasn't entirely necessary that was attempted, and it is Critchley who's judged that very, very well. And Essex have taken the wicket of Billings. Perhaps he'll be thinking he didn't need to do that. 4 off the first ball. The game very much under Kent's control. The only thing Essex really can do is to take a few wickets to create some uncertainty, and it might be, even with the experience of Sam Billings, the captain there, has rather given it away. 120 for 3.
You called it about 4 overs ago, Nick, saying that Kent was scoring the boundary early in the over to take the pressure off, then just play normal cricket to keep the scoreboard ticking over and get the runs required. Well, Billings had got the 4, he got the boundary, and then he steps back and just hits the ball straight up in the air, and Critchley had to wait a long time for that to come down. Spinning ball, difficult one to take, but he took it nice and comfortably. Miyeye's the man they'd like. It's brought Joey Everson to the wicket, but there's still plenty of cricket left in this game.
There is 120 for 2, chasing 188, 68 to get. We're in the 14th over, 2 balls into it, 6 overs and 4 balls to go. Simon Harmer strikes. That one definitely turned. I think it was a full shot, and that was brought about by Harmer getting some response from the pitch. They'll be hoping that he can repeat the dose here as Everson comes in. Moves in from the Alistair Cook end, bowls, and the first ball is just played defensively back down the pitch, and Harmer would be quite happy with that. So a wicket and then a dot ball. 120 for 3, chasing 188 as Harmer bowls again, a flatter one, and down the pitch here. Good use of the feet here by the new batsman just to get his account up and running. Plays it through the mid-off gap, gets himself a single, and the score goes to 121 for 3. Harmer 1 for 12 in his 3rd over. I think he might well bowl a 4th. Comes into bowl to Mayeye, who gets another full-length delivery in almost exactly the same area through the mid-off gap, and just collects the single. So just the 6 runs on the wicket so far, with 1 ball left of this 14th over. 66 runs to win. 122 for 3. Game very much on a knife edge here. Harmer bowls again, and this time just again a little bit of turn there, and evidence in the way the shot was checked, and in the end just played defensively by Everson back down the pitch. I think there's enough justification there for Harmer to give himself the 4th over, but I say, with the exception of that one very expensive over from Bosch, It's and perhaps Critchley's been a little bit expensive, and I don't think we'll see him again. 3 overs 38. There've also been some pretty tidy bowling performances out there, and so Harmer with a little bit of thinking to do. He's going to continue with Snater, and it's 122 for 3, and we're down to the last 6.
Yeah, it's pretty simple maths now. 66 from 6, so 11 and over is required here. And Kent are also, for the first time in this innings, behind the DLS at 128. As Snater is in and bowls to Miyeye. Miyeye drives over the head of Snater and will pick up 4 runs here. Over the head, straight as a die, down to the boundary. And 4 runs from the first ball of the over. Harmer has to hurdle the advertising hoardings to go and get the ball. He's helped out by a member of the crowd there. Good strike that from Miyeye. Everything he hits at the moment seems to be turning to gold.
Yeah, lovely, safest area once you get it past the bowler, because there's nobody behind the bowler's arm. And away for 4. Again, a boundary off the first ball of the over.
126 for 3, needing 188. Snater's in. Oh, Miyeye's hit this one up in the air. Snater calls for it and takes the catch. And that could be a vital, vital strike. And for the second time, Shane Snater picks up a caught and bowled. It's 126 for 4. Miyeye has to go for 73 from 49 balls, and that could be a big wicket.
Well, I've been saying the pitch hasn't been doing as much in this innings, but a little bit of just a hint in the last couple of overs that is maybe no longer the case, because I reckon that wasn't necessarily so much batsman error. I think he was done perhaps a little bit by a bit of movement there, and he was caught in no man's land. In the end, just hit the ball straight up in the air. And Snater, a different caught and bowl to the first one, took a lot longer to get to him. But again, Kent will be frustrated at losing a wicket immediately after hitting a boundary off the first ball of the over. It's a very, very good hand that from Miyeye, his best T20 score. But I think, on balance, we'd say that I wouldn't put too much blame down to him. I think it's a good ball from Snater. It did a bit, and that's what got him.
That's the one that Essex wanted as well. So 2 fresh batters at the wicket. Now Jack Leaning has come out to join Joey Everson, and Shane Snater is doing the job here for Essex at the moment. 2 for 18, 2 balls into his 3rd over.
Yeah, he's making things happen, isn't it? And then maybe just getting a little bit out of the surface as well.
Leaning to face up to Snater. Snater bowls to him, steers up one into the onside to short mid-wicket. Harmer does the fielding and then hurls the ball at the stumps when Leaning was safely home. Seemed a bit unnecessary. 127 for 4 is the score.
Yeah, I don't want to be giving away overthrows in this tight situation. Very important game this for Essex. Gloucestershire having lost surprisingly earlier at Cheltenham to Middlesex. So Essex looking to take advantage of Gloucestershire's slip up and move 2 points clear of them, so they can win this game.
Snater now into Everson. He's only faced 3 balls. Snater's into him. Everson into the onside. Will pick up a single as it wide of Harmer at short mid-wicket. 128 for 4. 60 runs required for Kent from 5.2 overs. So from 32 balls, they need 60.
Again, just 6 runs and a wicket off this over. Essex starting to take wickets as well, which is important because that is unsettling Kent here.
Robin Das called up from the deep 3rd boundary to the edge of the circle. The Snater comes in and bowls, and Leaning into the onside, down to long on in fact, who comes off the fence and fields and keeps it down to the single. Good piece of smart, quick fielding that out there. 129 for 4, the Kent score. 188 is the target. 1 more ball to come.
Yeah,
this the 15th.
Some just of late, because of the wickets, just losing a little bit of momentum here, Kent. Absolutely had Essex where they wanted them a few minutes ago.
Snater bowls to Everson. Everson off the back foot, forces that one away towards the square cover boundary and picks up 4 runs. And that's a very, very timely struck boundary by Joey Everson, and that finishes off Shane Snater's over, and the score is 133 for 4 here on BBC Essex.
So 55 from 30, and yeah, it's a very even game. Essex will certainly feel they've got restored equilibrium with the recent wickets. Simon Harmer has bowled pretty well today and has been getting a bit of turn, and it's not particularly a surprise that he's elected to bowl himself out. I'd say there'll be some other strong performances with the ball today as well. 133 for 4, 55 from 30, and it's going to be Harmer to come in to bowl, and that is hit firmly along the ground, probably for 2, between 2 boundary fielders for Leaning, and he comes back for a comfortable second run. Well placed, no risk in the shot, and the score goes along to 135 for 4, 53 from 29.
Another full toss from Simon
Yes,
Harmer though.
a few, yeah. Harmer again, with darkness taking effect here now. Bowls a flatter one, that certainly wasn't a full toss. And just a little push into the onside, and the thought of a second run, they're going to go for it. In comes Pepper, the throw comes in, and Kent have managed to achieve what Essex were desperate to try and do through much of their innings. The little push with no pace into the onside. I don't think Essex ever got a 2, did they, Glenn? No. And Kent have managed to get one there. So 137 for 4, 51 from 28. Well placed, well judged. Harmer again, 51 from 28. Bowls from the Alistair Cook end. Another full toss, driven away down the ground for a single to long on. 5 from the over. And it's 138 for 4, and even 50 from 27.
And 5 from 3 balls of this Simon Harmer over.
Can Essex stop the boundary in this over? Harmer coming in to bowl once more. It's played off the back foot, and that's a dot ball, which is very, very useful at this stage. He has had 1 or 2 expensive analyses in the competition this season, Simon Harmer, but this has been one of his better days. Pitch just offering him a little. He comes in to bowl once again, and that's hit uppishly and not far away from Harmer, but safe and out towards Pepper at long on, and they get through for a single. Everson goes along to 7 with that run and gives a strike back to Leaning. 49 from 25. It's 139 for 4.
He pulled out of the shot, didn't he, Everson?
Yeah.
He was going to go through with that, and I think realised we'll have to do that. I'm hitting it straight down long on's throat because Harmer held the ball back slightly, so actually it was a sensible piece of batting in the end from Everson. Rossington just calls his captain down to have a quick chat with him, with 1 more ball to go of this over.
49 from 25. They've still got 6 wickets in hand. 139 for 4. Fired in by Harmer, and that will probably just be the one as it goes out to Pepper. A second would be very dangerous. They don't go for it. In comes a flat throw from Pepper. Good over, good analysis from Simon Harmer. 1 for 20 from his 4 overs. He has bowled out. I think Snater may well bowl out because he's been making things happen out there, but he's not going to do so immediately. It's going to be Walter. So 188 is the target, and it's going to be certainly pretty close finish here. We've got 6 wickets left, but that was another good over from Harmer, and he's had a good evening with the ball.
Yeah, he's just reeled Kent back, just held them back a little bit, that they didn't maybe want to take the risk off Harmer's bowling in trying to find that boundary. Something of Paul Walter's pace might be more to their liking. So 48 runs required from 24 legal deliveries. So there you are, 2 a ball needed.
They've just done enough, Essex, actually, just to push this rate up and create a little bit of pressure. The wickets clearly have helped.
Even my simple GCSE maths can work that out. 12 and over needed. Walter comes in and bowls to Leaning. Leaning off the back foot, cuts that one away. That's a diving stop there by Simon Harmer. They get the single. They would have got it anyway, I think. It wouldn't have gone to the boundary because there was a man covering out on the point boundary, would have got around. 141 for 4.
Yeah, he's had a good evening in the field, Harmer, and as I say, I think he's bowled pretty well this evening. Must have been a bit frustrating. He's not been quite at his best with the ball this season. It must be a bit of a source of frustration for him, but he's very much back to his best, I think, with the quality of his bowling this evening.
They're 10 runs down on the DLS now, Ken. That shows you how well Essex have done in the last couple of overs.
Just need really one expensive over here for Kent, and that will do a trick for them.
Walter into Everson. Everson pulling that one into the onside. Bobbles off the under edge of the bat. There'll only be a single there as well. 142 for 4, 46 required here on BBC Essex.
Could be, but our initial thought that 187 was a pretty good score on this pitch will be borne out because it does appear to be doing a bit more now, and Paul Walter does in particular look quite difficult to get away. Now probably the next one will go out of the ground, but he has actually asked some questions, hasn't he, and been a very effective operator yet again. Number 16 in the space of 2 overs and 2 balls.
He's going to bowl to Jack Leaning here. Left arm around Paul Walter. He's into the former Yorkshire man, and Leaning heaves that one away into the onside and picks up 4 runs. And that was chancing his arm there, Jack Leaning, and he's got reward for it. 146 for 4, and he gets the boundary that Kent wanted.
Yeah, a bit of a slog, and just an indication there for Walter. Just had to be patient. It's going to be the odd 4, but he's bowling pretty well out there. And as I say, the good thing here for Simon Harmer, he's got plenty of options. He's got 2 from Sam Cook as a banker. He can effectively bowl out Walter or Snater without too many worries.
Walter into leaning, bouncer outside off stump, leaning gets nothing on it. It's the 1 for the over. Good piece of bowling, 146 for 4. 2 more balls to come of this, the 17th over.
It's not one of those situations where he doesn't know who to turn to. He knows that he's got some good options there. So it looks like Cook is going to bowl 18 and 20, one would have thought. You'd think he's going to bowl out, leaving Walter or Snater it would be, wouldn't it, for 19.
This is a tight one. Walter into leaning, hits that one up to mid-on, not with too much timing, and picks up a single. 147 for 4. 1 more ball to come. We've had 7 runs off this over so far. The required rate tips up to 13 now.
Yeah, it's a good enough over this for Essex. They haven't got the wicket, but again, we're seeing this pattern that Kent are just finding it a little bit more difficult since that partnership was broken. And as I say, there'll be a little bit of regret if Kent lose this match. They'll feel they had Essex absolutely where they wanted them at one point.
It's really quiet inside the Chelmsford County ground. Walter is in and bowls, and Everson drives with no timing up to long on, picks up the single. 8 runs from the over. 148 for 4. Kent require 40 runs from 3 overs. That is 40 runs from 18 legal deliveries here on BBC Essex. You can sense, you can feel people moving closer and closer to the edges of their seats here, because this is going to be a really tight finish. And as you quite rightly say, Nick, Sam Cook is going to bowl out from this Sir Alistair Cook end.
Yeah, and then Simon Harmer has got the choice really between Snater and Walter. Not much to choose between the 2, I would have thought. They've both done very well. Walter's been used to bowling at the end this season, so I don't think he's got too much to worry about either way. I think I'd back Essex from here. I think they've done very well in the last few overs, but Kent's still in with a chance. The difference is they don't have somebody really in and firing in the way that Muyeye was, particularly in the second half of his innings. So 40 from 18. Everson is on strike on 9 as Cook bowls a full length delivery, and he reaches for it and just plays it away towards deep cover, and they go for what will be a tight second run, but in the end it's fairly comfortable and actually quite well judged, because 2 fielders had to converge on it. I think Snater got there eventually, but they get back for the second run. Kent's 150 is up. They need 38 from 17.
Yeah, it's a good piece of running, comfortable in the end, but Cook's tactic clearly to bowl full and wide outside off stump.
And Essex just looking to stop the boundary here. Kent need a boundary in this over, at least one. Cook bowls, and that is hit in the air, safe again. 1 bounce out towards third man, just the 1 bounce to the fielder, and in the end that's not too bad from the Essex point of view. Good fielding out in the deep, just a single. They'll settle for that at this stage, and increases the pressure on Kent. 37 from 16. We're on 151 for 4. The single takes Everson to 12.
Kent just looking for this 1 big over, which will get them over the line, but Essex straining to prevent the boundaries and doing a good enough job. Sam Cook's not happy with something here.
37 from 16, so darkness has taken full effect. The lights shining brightly. The weather has held off. Little bit of a breeze. Crowd watching on, wrapped in their attention as Cook bowls, and there's an attempted ramp shot to a ball outside the off stump, and it's a dot ball.
He was stood there even before Cook had got into his delivery stride, ready to play that shot.
Well, it's starting to look, unless something goes very drastically wrong here, as though that 187 is just a little bit above power on this pitch. And Essex in the second half of the innings have actually got the ball to do a little bit more, and Kent have found it difficult. 37 from 15. Here is Cook again. Bowls, and that's driven away, but right up to cover, and it's a crowd catch. In fact, I thought it was a crowd catch, but it's actually been taken by Critchley. I thought it was a bump ball, but no, it's been taken cleanly, and he's on his way. So that's leading gone for 14, and now Kent really up against it, and Cook has done his job. He's returned to the side, and well, he's really produced a very, very good over, showed all his experience, And Essex, just in these last few overs, have done a thoroughly professional job and made their score look the good score it is on this surface. And now Kent, an awful lot to do. 151 for 5, still 37. I think it's just the 14 balls to go now. That was a strange one, because I thought it was a bump ball, but no, cleanly taken, and away goes the batter.
Yeah, it looked like a bump ball initially.
Yeah, that's where I went anyway.
I thought, why are they celebrating? But yep, come off the toe end of the bat rather than into the ground. But that's the wicket, and well, the best way to stem run scoring is to take wickets. Brings Harry Finch to the wicket.
Useful players had a bit of form in this competition. Is it a little bit too late? And is the quality of the bowling a little bit too good on this surface?
37 for 14 balls needed.
151 for 5. Finch looking round. This is probably Kent's last big hope. They've got to Everson at the other end, but he's only going to run a ball. He's just struggling a little bit. Here's Cook bowling a full length delivery, and it's driven straight back to the bowler along the ground, who fields cleanly. What a top over this has been. And having the class of Sam Cook back feels a very, very good thing indeed from the Essex point of view. Who knows, will he play a test match this summer? But Essex certainly very, very grateful to have him back in their side. They've missed him in this competition. He could be the difference in the last few group games, and indeed in the knockout stages should they get there. Here's Cook, last ball of a great over. It's a bad full toss, and it's very well stopped at cover, and they get a single. That was the worst ball Cook has bowled. It was almost so high, but it actually could have been called a no ball. It was driven with full expectation by Finch. He was going to get 4, but it was brilliantly stopped in the covers. And in the end, that's a superb over from Cook. 3 overs, 1 for 18, and it's 152 for 5, and there's 36 from 12, and Essex should win from here.
Yeah, wonderful piece of fielding that by Matt Critchley, who took a catch a couple of balls previous to that one, and then just took off away to his right-hand side. And he got a round of applause from his bowler, who just stood there and applauded him for that piece of fielding. And several of the Essex fielders come across and slap him on the back for that fantastic piece of fielding. He's just stooped away to his right-hand side, really top over that from Sam Cook, and the game is there for Essex now to get over the line, failing any kind of massive breakdown from either of the bowlers or something spectacular from the remaining Kent batters. They need 36 from 12 balls. Paul Walter is on, wide of off stump. Finch steps outside leg stump, so has to reach for it, and will pick up no more than the single there. 153 for 5. You've been with us since ball 1 here on BBC Essex. Essex did really well in the end to get up to 187, and we thought that was about par, and for a long period of this innings it looked like Kent were going to get there with no problems at all.
Yeah, it looked a good score. We thought 180 plus with a decent score on this, and that's been borne out. But Essex have bowled well. Remember, they're still without Sams, but just having Cook back, think about this game in the context of 1 or 2 of the others, like the game at Cardiff. What a difference that has made. Walter to Everson.
Everson, gets nothing on it, and it flies through to Rossington, and there is no run, and the Chelmsford crowd just beginning to sit a little bit easier now, just finding their voices a little bit more now, because it went very, very quiet at one point. I wonder who the Essex player of the match is. I've written about 6 or 7 contenders. Nobody absolutely out clear. Well, at the moment, I might look towards Sam Cook or Simon Harmer just for the bowling. Yeah, I think so. It often goes to a batter, doesn't it? Walter comes in and bowls, and that's swung away behind square on the onside by Everson, but they'll only pick up the single again. But just having Cook back has made a difference here, and of course, Essex did have Cook and Sams at the, you think about that campaign last year, but obviously Cook's injury and Sam's subsequent injury, that hasn't been borne out, but they just look different having one of those 2 back. 154 for 5, 9 balls to go. Walter is in, and Finch again trying to give that absolutely everything. Loses his balance, but will come through for a couple of runs. Their leg bys 156 for 5, 2 more balls to go of this, the penultimate over. And the other thing is, a sort of byproduct of that, Glenn, is that let's allow Paul Walter a more senior role as a bowler in the side, which he's really taken advantage of it. I mean, if you like, the first indication of his qualities was really, I guess, when he was drafted into that 100 Manchester Originals, wasn't it? When he was going to play in the 50 over competition. And he took advantage of it. Walter to Finch. Finch heaves that one up to long on. Only be the single there as well. One more ball to go of this, the penultimate over. 7 balls to go, 157 for 5. Another 31 runs required for Kent to steal back over the crossing with a victory.
Yeah, they've closed this game down brilliantly, Essex, because they were struggling at one point. Obviously the expensive Bosch over, but they carried on from that, didn't they? They kept the momentum going. And I think Kent will be a bit rueful when they look back.
Walter to finish off then, in and bowl. Short delivery is spooned up in the air by Everson, and the catch is not taken, and it's tipped away by the fielder. And has that been hauled in inside the rope?
It has. They probably won about 5.
It has, and they have run in the end.
They must have run 3 at least.
Well, I think they've run 4 there, because Everson is back on strike.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it looked like one of those plays.
It's a run 4. The catch was disappearing over the shoulder of the fielder as he ran back. He then tipped it towards the rope, hauled it back in, by which time the fielders had run 3. They then took 1 for the throw as well, so 161 for 5. So Kent required 27 runs from this final over, which is going to be bowled by the returning Sam Cook.
Yes, that was one of those where sort of everything was frozen in time, while Essex, one way or another, retrieved the ball from the distant boundary there in front of the executive boxes, while the batters were happily running between the wickets, and in the end they got through for the all-run 4. So here we go, 27 from 6. It should be straightforward, this for Essex, as Cook bowls an attempted ram shot and a play and a miss. Attempt to throw the stumps down from Rossington. He misses, but Cook hits, but it's not out. So Rossington looked to throw down the stumps at his end. It missed, got through to Cook. He then did throw it down the stumps, but Finch was in. But I think it's all going to be to no great relevance. 26 off 5. There's no way that Cook's going to go for that many in this over. 162 for 5. He's been exemplary on his return. 3 overs and 1 ball, 1 for 18. So 1 extra to the total there. 161 for 5. A target 188. As Cook comes into bowl again, it's well pitched up, driven along the ground, block hole ball, super delivery, up to Pepper at long on. Just exactly what Essex want. And becoming academic now, but 25 from 4 balls, so it's gone beyond the point where Kent can do it without no balls and wides. And what a good comeback this has been from Essex. We mentioned that they were really, after a deceptively quiet start from Kent absolutely exploded for a while, but they'll look back with a bit of disappointment. This is hit in along the ground and pretty well actually out towards deep backward point, but a good piece of fielding stops the second run.
Yeah, and that's the game for Essex, failing no balls and wides here. Sam Cook applauds that piece of fielding out in the deep as well, because he feels, that's enough now. I'm certainly not going to be bowling no balls and wides and giving boundaries away in the closing stages here. And in the end, I think the term you use, Nick, is spot on. In the end, Essex have shut this game down and done a very good job.
They've done an extraordinarily effective job at doing it, actually. So it doesn't half help having Cook back. 24 from 3, and this is just a good slower ball, which Everson knows little about. And to be poor old Everson, he's rather struggled out there. 18 off 15 balls. He hasn't really seriously laid a bat on it too often. And Finch, who does, he equally hasn't had a chance to get going. And as I say, I reckon Kent have got to look back as the Reardon dismissal.
Yeah. They're not used to winning, I think.
They're not used to winning. They've showpat a little bit. They absolutely had Essex where they wanted them, and a Reardon's dismissal in the 11th over at 95 was critical, as this is hit along the ground, goes out towards deep mid wicket. Another single, doesn't matter now. 23 to win off the last ball, which will be bowled by Sam Cook. It means that his figures are more or less identical to Simon Harmer's, who took 1 for 20, and Cook is there on 1 for 21.
Two of the big favourites for Essex, aren't they, Harmer and Cook? So it's an interesting for those people judging the man of the match this evening. Yeah, it's and of course it might even be Shane Snater, who you could say made a difference in the middle of the innings. Here's a good slower ball to end, and Cook punches the air in delight. That is a big win from a perilous position at one point, because, as we mentioned, there was a stage in that innings where Reardon and Mayeye were threatening all kinds of chaos from the Essex point of view, but it was that dismissal of Reardon at the halfway point where Kent actually got halfway to their target as well. That dismissal with the score at 95 at the start of the 11th over, and it was Shane Snater, the caught and bowled and
from that point on, although Mayeye went on to a fine 73, a career best in the competition for 49 balls, Kent were never quite the same, Glenn, and the presence of Sam Cook back in the side did make a difference, and I think we were probably just about justified in thinking that 180 plus would be a decent score on this pitch, and I think that's turned out to be the case.
Yeah, but it got really worrying, didn't it, in the middle of that innings? I mean, 3 overs went by in the power play where Kent couldn't lay a bat on anything. They then lost Daniel Bell-Drummond, but then they took Ethan Bosch apart in his second over after he'd taken the first wicket, and Mayeye just went crazy for a period where Kent looked as though they were going to take the game away from Essex, but Essex hauled it back in, shut it down, and the reaction from Cook and Critchley in particular, and the captain Simon Harmer, tells you how they feel. They've pulled that one out of the fire, and how important that win is.
And it puts them up into 3rd place for the time being, with Surrey on 16. Obviously, a lot of these sides are going to play over the weekend. Sussex won last night on 14. Essex are 3rd on 13 points with 3 to play, and then we've got Somerset there on 11 with 4 to play, and Gloucestershire, who lost today against Middlesex. It's been a very good day all round for Essex. Both the results have gone the way they wanted. They have got 11 points with 3 to play, and Glamorgan still in contention just about with 9 and 4 to play. But yeah, but the return of Cook made a difference. It was a good team batting performance without the outstanding innings, wasn't it, for Essex? But the score looked good on a pitch which offered quite a lot. It was just a bit odd. There was that period in the Kent innings where it seemed to go to sleep a little bit, but then Essex started to get things to happen, and it was actually Shane Snater's spell, I think, that made the difference, and eventually the pressure was increased on Kent, and they weren't able to respond, and in fact Essex won really quite comfortably in the end.
Nick, thanks very much for your company this evening. Thanks to you for listening as well. Don't forget, we're back on duty on Saturday when Essex head down to Hove. Then on Sunday, they're back here for an afternoon game, importantly, an afternoon game against Surrey. And then next Friday, off back down to Hampshire. But then, by then, we hope Essex might have got the job done. They're almost there. They're almost qualified for the quarter-finals. But certainly one win, if not 2 more, will be needed. There's a whole clutch of games tomorrow night, which you might want to keep half an eye on, because that will determine, I think, how close Essex are to qualification. Thanks to James for his help this evening. Don't forget there'll be reaction on BBC Sounds. Keep an eye out on the BBC Essex Sport Twitter feed for that. But for myself, Glenn Speller, from Nick Gledhill and our scorer David Jackman, a very good evening to you.
Right. Can we go down and see if I can I never thought they'd do that. Well, yeah, they were struggling for a while there, weren't they?
Thanks, James. Appreciate your help this evening, and I'll sort out the interview, and you get yourself off home. Oh, lucky you. Okay. No worries at all. I will speak to you in the very near future. Cheers, James. Take it easy. Thanks. Bye, bye.
Go down and get someone if you like.
I'll do it straight away, Nick. Yeah.
And then I'll head off if that's okay. Because are you able to take the kit back and then? Yeah, a good game in the end, wasn't it? I thought they did really well, but I thought at one point it was we read it wrong, thinking I think we were right on that.
So, what a tight contest that was, but the Eagles fly and soar once again, and we have our Woodland Group Eagle of the match, and it is none other than Mr. Shane Snater. States, 2 very important wickets and a big catch. It was at a critical time when O'Riordan and Mayeye were really seeming to pull away.
Yeah, for sure. I think they got off to a decent start. I mean, yeah, it was obviously nice to contribute to the ball and take my catch. So yeah, I'm just happy we were walking away with the result.
The confidence in getting that result is so important, isn't it? Because we've got such a big weekend coming up at Hove and then back here at Chelmsford.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're at the crunch time of the competition, and I think looking forward, every game for us would be a must win. So yeah, it will put us in a good place.
and a few new ingredients in the Essex bowling attack with Mr. Bosch in there, and of course Sam Cook back in the fold.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, great to be bowling alongside them, and I think just all round it was a good team performance.
Right, well, let's invite the Woodland Group guys to come in. I'm going to get out your way and make the presentation. And Snates, we've got one other presentation we'd like you to make to our Woodland Group Young Eagle of the match. This is Charlotte. Charlotte, come and meet Shane. Just present her with the shirt, if you would. And I'm sure Shane will put his autograph on that as well. Sorry, not enough hands. So congratulations, Charlotte, our Woodland Group Young Eagle of the day. Congratulations to Snates, our Woodland Group Player of the match. Well done, Snates. Go well at the weekend. All sets up really well. Don't forget, Sunday's game, the last home game in the Vitality Blast, is a 2:30 start. We've got the Surrey boys, the Brown Caps here, they're top of the log at the moment. So all to play for after we play, of course, against Sussex at Hove on the Saturday. Thank you for your support. We look forward to seeing you back here at the Cloud County Ground for a 2:30 start on Sunday. Good night.